Good morning. Welcome. We're now meeting for the second time in this room. We're hoping that maybe we have a third time. We're not sure, so you'll see things a lot about location to be determined. We're kind of floating around. It'd be good if we could find a home. So welcome to my board members. There are three of us here in the room. And we will have two who will be attending and two who are not able to be here today. So we really have a hybrid meeting, some here, some at home. Welcome to staff. I've said this before. If you don't know who I am, I'm Jane Dolan. I'm the president of the board. To my left is our executive officer, Chris Leaf. To my right is our everything that we need done, Jonah Knapp. I know you have a title, but you're our utility guy, and we appreciate you very much. Board members will be announced when we do the quorum. So with that, and I understand that our board members are online, and everyone else who is participating online has been joined. We expect our board attorney to join us at some point. Is that correct? That's our expectation. He's probably stuck in traffic. I've been there. And we have our chief engineer at this end of the table, and our deputy executive officer, Andrea Buckley here. That's Chief Engineer Michael Wright. So please know the meeting is recorded. I will now, I know everyone is online, so I will call this meeting to order of the Central Valley Flood Protection Board of this Friday, April 25th, 2025. So the first action is to officially establish attendance and a quorum of board members. Mr. Knapp, will you call the roll for that?
Member Andrews?
Present.
Member Bosler is absent. Member Griego?
Here.
Member Countryman?
Present.
Secretary Johnson is expected online, but we have yet to see him. Vice President Valines is absent. President Dolan?
I'm here. So we have Mr. Countryman online. Brian Johnson just said he's having trouble logging on, so he's going to have to find a place to do that, or maybe he'll just call. We have a quorum. We have a quorum of 5. Brian's not on yet.
He's not on.
All right. We have a quorum. We just meet it with 4, and we'll have 5 when Brian can get on.
Michael Wright.
Good morning, President Dolan. I spoke with
Michael Wright.
Mr. Dua earlier, and he is not going to be here in person. He's trying to get online. It looks like he's on as a guest.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. Mr. Flessing, did you hear that? Our attorney Dua is going to be online. Thank you. All right. Quorum confirmed. So next up is introductions or announcements. So introduction first, and I will ask that of our executive officer, Mr. Leaf.
Thank you, President Dolan. Chris Leaf, Executive Officer. So first, an announcement that Detta Hunt is retiring in the next month.
Detta has to stand.
Detta started her 30-year state career at Department of Social Services.
Last time I'll make you do that.
Coming to the board in 2018, where she has been instrumental in setting up new contracts for the board and effectively managing our Public Records Act request process. We have learned to rely on her expertise, and we will miss her counsel and good humor. As Detta retires, she looks forward to camping, traveling around the country, and spending time with her family. We'd like to thank Detta for all her contributions to the board and wish her the best in her new adventures.
We do. You could add on to that visiting us from time to time. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Can miss you.
Next, we welcome Aaron Bernacci. There he is.
There you are, sir.
Aaron has joined the board as a water resource engineer in the operations branch permitting section. Aaron comes to us with a strong foundation in engineering, having earned his BS in civil engineering from Sac State. He also brings 4 years of experience in land development engineering in the private sector.
Oh, wow.
Outside of his professional life, Aaron is a CrossFit enthusiast and a dedicated fan of the Sacramento Kings and New Orleans Saints. I also understand Aaron can solve a Rubik's Cube in an impressive 20 seconds. Welcome,
Oh,
Aaron.
really? Sacramento Kings and what was the other one?
New Orleans Saints.
New Orleans? That's an interesting match. Yeah. Okay, thank you and welcome. Where'd you go? That takes care of that, right? Okay, I'm going to do just a very brief review of the agenda, just in case someone has a question and wants to rearrange things. It's just an overview. We introduce the items more formally at that point. The first item after our review is minutes that were to be approved. Hopefully, our board member Johnson can bring those forward, or we'll figure it out. Item 5 is consent items. There are 4, and they are permits. The items, that will be further introduced, just wanted to say that. Item 6, after consent, is public comments. I think we have folks who know the protocol for that. I prefer, but I don't require, that you put out a form if you're in the room. For those of you who are online, once I take care of any commenters in the room, I will ask if there's any who have a hand raised online so we can call on you. Item 7, we will be receiving and noting a written submittal of legislative updates assembled by our executive officer. Never know if there's comments on that. Item number 8 is an informational presentation of inspection results. Our folks from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers are there, but our staff will introduce that. That's a presentation. Item 9 is our board items, and there are 4. 3 are action, and 1 is a briefing. Item 10 is 3 items of DWR. 1 is noting that we've received the written report of their monthly activities, and that could generate questions or comments. Another is an action on an amendment of the 2023-2024 Delta levy subventions, and the other is annual presentation and then action of DWR's maintenance area budgets for 2024, 2026, is that right, for 2 years? Could be a Jane Dolan typo. Item 11, staff reports are submitted and may generate questions or discussions. 2025? That's it. 2024, 2025. I'll do that right when we get. I'll fix it when we get to it. Item 12, board members offer comments about activities, and we talk about board committees. Item 12, nearly the last item, we just say what our upcoming meetings are and whether or not we have a place to meet, but we will eventually, we just may not know it. Item 14, closed session, I don't think there is one. You know that from Mr. Dua. Okay, so there's not. So once we handle our items, we'll adjourn. Any comments on or changes for the way they're done? Just ask that board. Okay, not. Thank you. We'll go to the agenda. We are at item 4, minutes. Do we have Mr. Johnson?
No, not yet.
Okay, we will pass on that until we do have him. He's our board secretary. Item 5, consent items. There are 4. Item 5A is to approve permit number 19743 for the Stockton East Water District Mormon Slough Weir replacement. This is San Joaquin County. Mr. Humberto Negrete, are you here? Any comments, any concerns? Have you heard anything? Okay, thank you. Item 5B is to approve permit number 19896, McFerrin Land Utility Pole 3, Butte County, Operations Branch. I'm going to name the next one because it will sound similar. Approve permit number 19897, also McFerrin Land Utility Pole, but it's number 2, Butte County. Item 5D is to approve permit number 19962, Sacramento County Morrison Bridge Creek Replacement, Sacramento County. Where's mine? Are there any comments for these consent items? Board members? No one online? Audience? Staff? Okay. Mr. Wright, has the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers expressed any objections or concerns for any of these items?
I have heard no objections from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
Okay. Then, without any further ado, we will move to a motion for these 4 items.
Madam President, I'll make a motion to approve consent.
Okay, we have a motion by Member Griego. Is there a second?
I will second.
Member Andrews. All right. Please call the roll.
Member Andrews.
Aye.
Member Bosler is absent. Member Griego.
Yes.
Member Countryman.
Yes.
Secretary Johnson is online as a guest under his phone number ending in 2623. Could we get him as panelist? In the meantime, Vice President Valines is absent. President Dolan.
Yes. The motion is approved. Did we get the yes through the phone?
No.
No, not yet. Okay, we're working on that. Okay, so that's approved. All 4. 4 who are either here in the room or available to be online have approved that, so thank you. Item 6 is public comment.
Brian is on.
Oh, never mind. We'll go back to minutes. Board Member Brian, who's our secretary, is on. So Secretary Johnson, are you ready to present the minutes for approval of March 28th?
I can hear you if you can hear me.
I can hear
hear
you.
you.
Hear me?
You're a little soft.
Okay, I'm doing my best.
That's better.
The minutes are reviewed. I did have a note from board member Andrews pointing out that item 9A was changed from an action item to an informational item, and we missed that. So I moved that the minutes be approved with an edit to reflect that 9A was an informational item.
Okay. The motion to approve the minutes is before us, noting that there is a revision to be made on one of them. Is there a second?
I second.
Was that you, Mr. Countryman?
It is.
Okay, we'll give it to you. Any discussion or comments on the minutes for March? I always have to look. March 28th? Okay, none. Please call the roll.
Excuse me?
Oh, sorry. Member Johnson, Member Andrews.
Member Andrews.
For Member Johnson.
Just a quick question. Since that was a change made at the meeting itself, would it be appropriate to also modify the introduction where it says you reviewed the agenda and say that you made that change at that time? Because the published agenda would have said that it was an action item. This is just a point of order, and I don't know
I see.
what the procedure or protocol is for board handling of it.
Mr. Johnson, I'm going to say that both parts of those minutes would need to be adjusted. I think you meant that when you said you were going to make the changes.
I did. Maybe if it's possible to just interpret my motion to clarify as needed in the minutes to make that change. That's what I would recommend, and leave it to staff in discussion with the attorneys if they need to exactly how to reflect the change.
Okay, so those revisions to accurately reflect what did occur are to be done, and that's inclusive in the minutes, or the motion. Okay, thank you for making sure that we did that. 40 years from now, someone's going to say, what did they really do? So we want to be clear. Okay. Ready for roll call? Please call the vote.
Member Andrews.
Aye.
Member Bosler is absent. Member Griego.
Yes.
Member Countryman.
Yes.
Secretary Johnson.
Aye.
Vice President Valines is absent. President Dolan.
Yes. So the motion, the minutes are approved, and that's 5 votes for that. We have 2 who are not not with us today. That sounds bad. Okay. Public comments, I have 3. I'm going to call them in the order that they were handed to me because they have number 1, 2, 3, so somebody probably did that for us. Mr. Brattain. I want to call you Bratton because that was my high school friend. It does. You know, it doesn't sound like it, but it does.
Okay.
Oh, there you
Yes, Bill Bratton.
go. Bratton,
Yes.
okay.
So you were correct on the second try. Okay, if I can begin. Good morning, President Dolan and Executive Officer Leaf and members of the board. My name is Bill Bratton, and I'm a longtime resident of near the American River. I was very concerned about the highly destructive riprap erosion project proposed by the Army Corps of Engineers known as Contract 3B. I am a California registered civil engineer and have 25 years' experience as a water resource control engineer, but am now retired. Residents along the river have been asking for other less destructive alternatives than riprap for almost a year and a half now. But so far, we've been intentionally told to go pound sand by Army Corps and our elected officials. However, I have discovered that we've been more than justified in asking for other alternatives than we had even imagined. I wrote 2 recent letters to Army Corps about these new discoveries and also sent them to this board. These discoveries are as follows. 1, Army Corps included bioengineering and the use of smaller rock as an option for Contract 3B reaches in the alternatives section of the 2015 environmental document. 2, Army Corps told the public that bioengineering would be analyzed for Contract 3B reaches in 17 response to comments letters in 2016. Number 3, the 2015 erosion protection report stated that other alternatives than the proposed riprap bank protection would be analyzed for Contract 3B. 4, bioengineering methods were discussed in the 2015 erosion protection report, and there are bioengineering methods that are feasible in the Contract 3B reaches based on the water velocities there. And 5, U.S. EPA told Army Corps during 2022 NEPA scoping that they needed to include a full range of bank protection alternatives in their environmental document, including biotechnical alternatives. Yet despite all of this, only 1 bank protection alternative was presented or discussed in the 2023 environmental document. The devastating riprap alternative that will destroy approximately 700 trees, including 300-plus-year-old heritage oaks. Bioengineering was not even mentioned. My recent letters ask that Army Corps, DWR, and SAFCA remove Contract 3B from consideration at this time so that the remaining important contracts, such as widening of the Sacramento Weir, can go forward for consideration by this board without challenge from the community. As CEQA lead agency, your staff should ask these agencies to remove Contract 3B from the environmental document and reissue it with a reasonable range of alternatives as required by CEQA, and include the promised bioengineering alternative. Do not let this totally unnecessary devastation be part of your legacy, akin to the Army Corps' folly of the LA River, when there are other feasible alternatives available that are much less destructive and that provide the necessary erosion protection. Thank you.
I was going to ask you to wrap up, so thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Mr. Spalding.
Good morning, President Dolan, board members, Mr. Leaf, and thanks for yet another chance to comment on Contract 3B. Pete Spalding from American River Trees. First, it's come to my attention that some officials believe that Art is saying, American River Trees, saying that no trees or vegetation can be removed as a part of this contract. This is definitely not the case. We have stressed a more targeted surgical approach to minimize tree removal, especially to heritage trees, and minimize destruction to the parkway and the wildlife corridor. We've constantly encouraged meaningful community engagement, state-of-the-art modeling, bioengineering alternatives, dialogue, discussion, questions, answers, balance among erosion control, flood protection, and preservation of our wild and scenic American River Parkway. Second, as Bill Bratton just mentioned, the Corps should have analyzed various bioengineering methods along with the use of smaller rock for each of the reaches of the Contract 3B and included the most favorable of these alternatives in the draft SCIR-SCIS. The Corps was told by USPA during CEQA and NEPA scoping that they should consider a full range of alternatives for bank protection, and they didn't do it. The use of bioengineering and cobble are feasible in most, if not all, the reaches of Contract 3B where erosion might be present and erosion protection needed. The Corps' own modeled velocities are low even at 160,000 cubic feet per second along the banks of the river. American River Trees is committed to improve the project by increasing community engagement, taking the time to develop alternative designs that are less destructive, using better models and data, considering engineering with nature principles and nature-based solutions, and the agency-specific procedures for the Corps to implement federal water resource investments. Let's convince the Corps to say, we heard you, we have better info, and we can do it better. Everyone will admire them for that and admire you as well. Let's take the time to get a win-win-win outcome. Erosion control, flood protection, and a wild and scenic American River Parkway for generations to come. That's what the people and the jewel of Sacramento deserve. And if you're looking for future meeting sites for your May 23rd and June meetings, you could have them outdoors at Larchmont Community Park, right adjacent to the Contract 3B construction area, and get to enjoy that area while there's still time. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Ms. Guston.
Good morning, everyone. Brenda Guston, native of Sacramento and member of Save the American River, board member. I attended the River Management Society Symposium in Oregon to learn more about wild and scenic rivers. We had the pleasure of learning from experts in the field of river management from all over the nation, including federal employees who strive to protect the outstandingly remarkable values of the wild and scenic rivers in their area. I'm sure you're aware that all proposed federally assisted water resource projects below the ordinary high water mark of the river are subject to Wild and Scenic River Agency Section 7 review of the Wild and Scenic Rivers Act, and therefore must be reviewed by the National Park Service and be evaluated under the direct and adverse effect standard to determine effects on the free-flowing condition, water quality, and each outstandingly remarkable value. The erosion control projects you are partnering with USAGE most definitely affect the free-flowing condition of the river and the outstandingly remarkable values, such as salmon habitat, being compromised due to elimination of shade from removal of large trees. And while the Corps seems focused on the bike trail, there are far more outstandingly remarkable values being affected due to tree removal and installation of riprap, such as birding, walking on natural trails, access to natural shoreline beaches for swimming, fishing, kayaking, canoeing, and small boating. Riprap destroys accessibility to the outstandingly remarkable values of these recreational activities. When looking into these projects, please consider the many alternatives that may have been suggested to the Corps, yet have been dismissed. We understand that flood control is a paramount concern. Heads on beds may be equally or better protected by engineering with nature techniques that have not been considered or were similarly dismissed by the Corps before you had a chance for your review. John Field, a fluvial geomorphologist, lectured at the symposium. He described successful utilization with a variety of nature-based bank stabilization techniques that river managers throughout the country have constructed to diminish bank erosion while protecting the wild and scenic nature of their rivers and flood control. I hope this board and your staff will have ample opportunity to evaluate the direct and adverse effects to free-flowing conditions, and that you will be able to review and consider all possible alternatives to protect the outstandingly remarkable values of our wild and scenic river while protecting residents from future flood events. We appreciate your consideration, appreciate the possibility of you being able to slow this down and be more methodical. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no other cards requesting to speak from the audience. Just let me ask, is there anyone in the room that wanted to make a public comment for something not on the agenda? I see no hands raised, no people up. Do we have any hands raised online? None? Okay. All right, we will then move on. Item 7 is legislative update. Our administrative officer takes the time and appropriately puts together some information. Your nod means that your submittal and our homework is sufficient. Any board members want to have a comment on that? The 3 of us in the room, 2 online? Nope. Anyone in the audience want to talk about the legislative report? Oh my gosh, I thought he was getting up. Nope, he's making a phone call. Okay, we will move on then. Item 8. Mr. Peak is going to come forward. Item 8 is a presentation of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers levee inspection results for Feather River Right Bank, Sutter Bypass East Bank, and these are in Sutter County. Jeremiah Peak from our Flood System Improvement Branch will introduce the item and our Army Corps partners today. Good morning.
You turned it off.
Is this on?
Oh,
Is the
when I'm talking.
PowerPoint up? Perfect. Okay. Good morning, President Dolan and members of the board. My name is Jeremiah Peak, and I work in the Deferred Encroachment Compliance section here at the board. With us today is Juan Gonzalez, Chief of the Army Corps Operations Division, and along with Kyle Sanchez, Mark List, and Chris Fritz. Today, I'm here to present on the Feather River Right Bank Sutter Bypass East Bank levee system. Could I get the next slide? So here we have a vicinity map of the levee system. The system is located about 24 miles north of Sacramento, and it protects the Butte County and Sutter counties from flooding of the Sutter Bypass, Wadsworth Canal, and Feather River. For some quick context, here are some of the projects that have been going on in this system. I want to call special attention to the project there at the bottom left, the Tudor Flood Risk Reduction Project. That's going to be discussed at this meeting later. And here's some more details from the Army Corps.
Thank you, Jeremiah.
Mr. Gonzalez, good morning.
Good morning. Juan Gonzalez, Army Corps of Engineers, Operations Division. Thank you, President Dolan, members of the board. Appreciate the opportunity to come before you and present inspection results on the Feather River Right Bank Sutter Bypass system. What's up on the screen right now is the system map for this Feather River system. This is in both Sutter and Butte counties. It's about 67 miles long. It does extend from the Thermalito Afterpay at the north end down the right bank of the Feather River down to Sutter Bypass. One thing I just want to point out here is that at the Sutter Buttes, this system has federally authorized levees just on the Wadsworth. I just noticed that the map that was up there before had a intercepting canal included, and that's not a part of the federal system. So just point of clarity there. And then just want to, thank you. This report card is for the levee embankment itself. The next slide will show a report card for the pump stations. And so both of these report cards have red boxes. The red boxes are essentially identifying the items that impact eligibility for PL 8509, so rehab assistance. There are some unacceptable observations that were noted. You can see at the top here that the system does remain active despite those unacceptable observations. The system does have an active eligibility in the program because of approved LOI and then an approved SWIFT plan that was approved, I think, this last September. This slide here shows 4 pictures. The picture on the top left, number 1 there, is showing erosion beneath a bridge. You can see the person there standing at the top of the picture. It's about 4 feet down into the embankment, so pretty significant. It is beneath the bridge, and so there's no vegetation growth or any sort of erosion protection at this location. I think that's contributing, just the lack of sunlight is probably contributing to no vegetation growth. Picture 2, this one here, it is within the MA16 levee segment, and I put it up there because it was one of the better pictures to put up on the slide, but I just want to point out that this sort of situation is happening throughout the system. It's not just within MA16, and so it's a lot of farming activity occurring adjacent to the levee itself, and then it's contributing to vehicle or agricultural traffic. Looks like it's cutting into the levee itself, and we're losing material. Picture 3, this pipe actually at face value doesn't look too bad. It's got a flap gate, it's got water running through it. That flap gate's open, but we know it closes when that water's not running. It's in this presentation, it was noted in the inspection report because it looks like it does have a lot of holes in it. It looks like somebody used it for target practice. So it's got many holes in it in that picture. Certainly it could allow water through to the land side. Picture number 4, hopefully you can see it better on your copy here, but what we're looking at is a large animal burrow, perhaps a den. You can see the mound of material that was taken out by the animal in comparison to the person that's standing there. And so it's very significant. I think we noted it to be 4 feet wide, about 3 feet wide and 4 feet deep is what I'm noting here. Yes. Yeah, you can see a little bit of the shadow there, and then where that stake is, the maintainer noted that as an issue during the inspection. We had identified it. So that is all I have, and
Is that on the land side?
That is on the, I can tell you right now. That is on the water side.
Okay, thank you.
I will pass it back to Jeremiah.
All right, thank you, Juan. So going into some of the details of this report card here, we have all of the improvements since the last inspection in 2010 highlighted here in green. The system is active in the PL 8499 program, meaning that it's eligible to receive federal assistance. And it's eligible not because it has all of the items as acceptable, but it's eligible because it has a system-wide improvement framework, which I think Juan mentioned was approved in September of last year. And I had a few things I wanted to point out. If I could get the next slide. So these 3 levy segments here collectively have 13 different items that they improved in. And I think that's significant because they're making a lot of progress. They've made so much progress, in fact, that if you click to the next slide, you can see there's only 2 remaining unacceptable items. And I think that's pretty great. If I get the next slide, yeah. So these 2 segments that are highlighted are identified in the SWIFT as the highest priority for improvements because they have the highest risk to life safety. And you can see that that's been reflected in the improvements that have been made throughout this levy system. The other segments have also had a lot of improvements. So the operations and maintenance manuals were improved to acceptable for all of the segments. And then encroachments, slope stability, depressions, and routing have also improved for the other segments. So lots of improvement across the board. So here's a quick summary of the items that are causing unacceptable ratings for the system. There's 12 encroachments, 6 locations where there's erosion and bank caving, and 12 instances of animal control. The decks section that I work in was created to address these issues specifically to help the system achieve PL 8499 eligibility. All right, so I have 4 more photos here. Photo number 1 is of animal burrows. I was informed by the district that every year they go out and they drag the levee, so the smaller burrows should be taken care of, as this is 2021, so it's been dragged over several times by now. Photo number 2 is of some erosion and bank caving. If you look closely at this photo, in the top left, you can see that there's a bridge going over this, and so we actually notified the county who the bridge is permitted to of this erosion. We did the same thing for the core slide that had a similar erosion. We notified the county for that as well. Photos number 3 and 4 are both pipes. Both of them are in the as-builts, and they're both missing waterside closure devices at the time of the core inspection. Photo number 3 is an abandoned pipe that needs to be properly abandoned. Photo number 4 was also the subject of a leak going through the levee back in 2019. It was stabilized, of course, and is now in our enforcement section. Again, I noted that the pipe was missing a waterside closure device. Since the core inspection, there's concrete poured over the waterside. If you noticed in one of the previous slides, there was a note about unacceptable orange. This is a description of what that means. Other than that, that is all of the stuff I have to present, so thank you very much. If you have any questions, feel free to ask myself, Juan, or any of the people here from the districts.
Okay. Thank you. Board members, any questions? Any comments? Andrews? Greco? Not from me. Mr. Countryman, do you have any comments?
Not right now, no.
I'm surprised.
President Bull?
Can
Can I
we
ask a
go?
question? Yeah, can I ask a question? In
Of
regards to photo number 2, that's kind of a common
Is that
thing that we see with the,
for the core slide or our slide?
it's,
Looks like core.
yeah, the core slide. And it's the agricultural practices, they're moving equipment around, and it digs into the toe of the levee.
Mm-hmm.
How is that something you address? I mean, you just go straight to the farmer, or how do you
Yeah.
address those issues? And how do you correct it?
I think we would talk with the enforcement section, and then the enforcement section would coordinate with the landowner to either get a permit for it or to get it repaired.
Yeah, I can't imagine why you would get a permit to destroy the base of the levee, but I could imagine that they would have to change their practice around in order to keep that from happening.
Yeah, it looks to me like they would need to just move a little bit farther from the levee
Correct.
and then repair it.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there anyone here representing these multiple districts? I know you're here. Do you want to say anything? No, no, no. You're here for, yeah, Mr. List is here for maintenance, maintenance areas. Yes, and then someone else is going to come forward.
Good morning, Mark List. I'm with the DWR Division of Flood Operations, Flood Maintenance and Operations Branch. Thank you, President Dolan, board members. Board Member Griego asked a question about the tow cut associated with ag activity. That is, as was mentioned by Mr. Gonzalez, a regular occurrence in pretty much this entire agricultural area. So DWR has already fixed that. 2021 photos sort of in 2025 sort of throw a wrench in logic. Lots of work has been done since 2021. Pretty much all of those issues, with the exception of encroachments, which have not been addressed necessarily, will be addressed. Tow cuts have all been regraded. The giant foxhole that was noted has been filled immediately after that inspection, actually. So we have regular practice of rodent abatement and damage repair, and just regular levee activities. We do interact with the adjacent landowners as best we can, but that does not always result in activity not impacting the levee. So we have an annual maintenance practice of fixing those issues, and we will elevate those to the board for enforcement if we're unsuccessful in dealing with them. Any other questions I can answer, but that's...
Through the chair. So, just to clarify, you fixed the tow levees there that was damaged by the farming activity,
Yes.
which is generally the property owner that pays for the maintenance, is that correct?
In those areas, yes. The
Okay.
property owners adjacent do pay for a portion of maintenance associated because that's maintenance area. I believe that was maintenance area 16, so
Okay.
yes.
So they understand that the importance of not hitting those tow levees and...
I'm not sure they fully understand the importance of not hitting those tow levees as they're carrying out agricultural activities, but that's certainly a messaging point that I would encourage folks to push out.
I would agree, and it's not uncommon. I mean, I've seen this in Yuba County, hitting those tow levees and moving their equipment around, and
Right.
and so it's a safety issue, and so I'm glad that you're on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that clarification. It's what's always pointed out to us, and I didn't hear it, so I'm going to say it. These photos were taken at a point in time. Maintenance work is continuous, except when it's flooding.
Good morning.
Sir.
Kyle Sanchez, MHM, representing LD1 of Sutter County and LD9. So, like Jeremiah stated, there was only 2 unacceptable items listed in the inspection report on there. One being in LD1 Unit 2 that LD1 had taken over at the end of 2023, going into 2024. Since then, we've made an active effort to address items on there, most of them being encroachments. And I know later on there's going to be a discussion regarding the Tudor project for removing a lot of the encroachments that are listed in that inspection report. So those are being actively addressed at this time. And then for LD1 Unit 1, the only unacceptable item on there was listed as the drainage pipes and culverts for it, which is at the Star Bend pump station. It was inspected in 2021, showing that a rating of 4 on it. Actually, later on in that year, we did a CIPP lining at that pump station, so it's already been fixed and addressed, and we can send in the video inspections post the CIPP lining in order to get that item from unacceptable to acceptable for LD1 at Unit 1. So if you have any questions regarding the youth units, feel free to answer any.
Thank you very much for being here. It's very helpful. Thank you for being here. It's very helpful to the board.
Absolutely.
Mr. Countryman, did you want to make a comment at this point?
Yeah.
Advise your
Yes, I
hand is
just
up.
wondered, did I understand correctly that the core report or the inspection was done in 2021 and we're just seeing this in 2025? What takes 4 years to get to the board?
Well, some folks were saying, yes, it was in 2021. Mr. Gonzalez is going to be brave and speak to that. 4 years to come to the board, so I would hope that these holes have been filled and the other things fixed.
Yes. Inspection was done in 2021. In late 2020, we stood up the inspection section in the Corps. And so we started with 2 people, and we took a big bite in that year. And so, yes, there are old inspections. This is one of the oldest. You do have, I think, we have one more from 2021 that's coming soon. And so this specific report is almost 1,300 pages, 1,000 pages of photos and observations. It takes time to process that data. We go through an iterative process to refine the data, to look through as-built, to look through O&M manuals, to identify authority for encroachments to be there. We're looking through permits, trying to align the information as best as we can. It does take a lot of time, but it also sets us up for the next inspection. That information that's in the inspection report will be used for our next inspection, so we're not doing the tedious work of which permit belongs to this pipe. In theory, with the information that we are doing, collecting in our efforts, as well as the information that we hope to collect from our LMAs and our sponsors, we want to be able to improve on the inspection with each iteration. And so we see this as a huge benefit, even though it's 4 years old. It is, Mr. President Dolan did point out, this is a snapshot in time. I understand, the foxhole was fixed, the toe cuts may be fixed, and what we're trying to show here is these are representative photos of the things that could go wrong. We have seen them. We've seen it in multiple systems before. And so it'd be great to be able to, present this information and just have an idea that, hey, this is the kind of stuff that we're dealing with, that we see it every time. Not every system has foxholes, but a lot of systems do have toe cuts. A lot of segments within this system have toe cuts. It just happens to be one of those systems. And I do acknowledge it is from 2021, and it just takes time.
What's the frequency of the Corps inspections?
So our policy is to do it every 5 years. However, we don't have the funding. It's an underfunded program, and so we do prioritize based on the high-risk systems are done more frequently, and the agricultural systems are done less frequently. And so we may not get back to this system in the next year, but we try to focus on the high-risk systems. And so that's where our funding goes, because I think we want to be able to communicate risk as best as we can to the high-risk systems.
It sounds like you're saying that you did quite a bit of extensive work on this. It may facilitate, wouldn't have to do as much next time. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, that is true. That is our practice for every system, and so that is why sometimes you see systems taking a year or more. We are taking a better approach today than this last year. We've been taking a better approach in terms of being smoothing out our process to ensure that we are not taking 4 years to get inspection reports out. And so I can tell you, as somebody that has oversight over this program, we're working on the backlog as well as the front end. And so you're seeing, as I come to present inspection reports, you're seeing both the old and the new. And so we are tackling both ends. I do feel like we are making great strides. About a year ago, we had 10 to 12 inspection reports that had a backlog, and today I can say we have less than 5. And so we are making strides. That 5 also reflects like we are moving forward to do a lot of inspections. We're up here presenting in front of the board monthly, and so we are
great.
making progress.
I wonder, you don't have to answer this if you're not allowed to, but with all we hear that's going on in Washington, have you lost staff from recently?
We are underfunded for the Inspection of Completed Works program. Fortunately, this program had not lost staff. And so we are proceeding cautiously with the approach we take on the inspection program because we do have to execute the program every fiscal year in order to get money the following fiscal year. And so you do see us using contracts for inspections. And so that is our approach to ensuring we get to full mission delivery at the end of every fiscal year. And so if we don't have staff on the inspection side, we're going to send it to contract.
Thank you.
Nicely said. You have been understaffed for a while, and you're just not losing more staff so that you're more understaffed. I got it. When these first came before the board, it wasn't clear that it was specific to what was and not necessarily what is. So it's been very helpful to have the district folks and maintenance area folks come in to explain that. So maybe perhaps the introduction could be, it's possible some of these things have been repaired. But it's helpful to point out things that do occur because of activities, weather, deterioration, and need to have constant attention. So thanks for that. We really appreciate when the district and maintenance folks are here to provide more information.
Appreciate that. And if I can say one more thing, I just, we do go through, the process we go through to refine these reports does include an opportunity for board staff as well as LMAs to comment. And so I just emphasize the need to receive information as best as we can. Maybe that foxhole was fixed that same year. I'm not sure that we received that information. So there's an opportunity here. I understand it's 1,000 pages. It's an opportunity to improve the inspection report, improve ratings, and the overall effort for each system that we present. And so just emphasizing there's an opportunity there that we can all capitalize on.
For systems that have a system-wide improvement framework, then we know that there's goals and targets and work that's being done. So that's helpful. The former board president said it's very important to take care of what we have.
Agree.
So good for that.
I'm going to go on through the chair.
Member Grego?
Thank you for that explanation. I've been on this board for a few years now. It's the first time I've heard this, and so I appreciate that you're short-staffed, that you're trying to catch up. And I guess my question is, in regards to the PL 8499, how has this situation affected jurisdictions that are trying to achieve the PL 8499? Has it hurt it?
Are you referring to
Qualifying for that insurance product? These inspections.
These inspections help inform the PL 8499 eligibility for levy systems. The process has been the same. I don't I would just say there hasn't been a negative impact on the way we are implementing the PL 8499 program. That's not under my overview, but I can speak to it a little bit. And there is coordination with board staff on, hey, this levy system's coming out. It's going to be out in the next 90 days or 4 months, whatever it might be. And levy systems, as I understand it, are preparing letters of intent as needed to ensure they remain active in the program. And so there is that coordination going on.
We've seen that increase.
Thank you.
For a few years, it was coaxing districts to do that, and now they're coming forward with letters of intent.
Pretty
and
consistent.
Moving on to a SWIFT. Good things happen. And any more questions? Don't see anyone else in the audience? Got any hands up? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
That's your summation? That's a good one. Thank you. Okay. Gosh, it feels like noon already, but it's not. It's only 10 a.m. So we'll move on to board items. Do I see Mr. Silva? Okay. I was wondering where you went. Board item number 9A. My introduction is this should be simple, but we'll see, because Member Johnson might have something to say, as well as Member Andrews. This is to adopt the resolution for the charter of the, got a longer name, Central Valley Flood Protection Board Advisory Committee on implementation of habitat-related issues identified in the 2022 update. Mr. Jamie Silva
Good morning.
heads this up as our staff. Good morning.
Good morning, President Dolan, members of the board, Jamie Silva, board staff. I'm here to introduce item 9A, included in your board packet as Resolution 2024-01. It's the resolution to adopt the charter for the board's advisory committee. The advisory committee has two main objectives. It's to advance implementation for habitat-related actions that were identified in the 2022 conservation strategy, and also to help guide the development of the 2027 Central Valley Flood Protection Plan update, as well as the integration of the conservation strategy into that plan. So the advisory committee is led by Board Member Andrews and Secretary Johnson. We have met twice currently, last month in March, as well as in April. We've had well-attended participation within those two meetings, and we are hoping to get more traction and create work groups here in the future. And I will let Board Member Andrews or Secretary Johnson add anything else.
Okay. We'll start with you, Member Andrews.
Thank you very much. We had our second meeting just earlier this week, so I'm happy to say that there was a pretty strong interest in developing work groups to focus on several different areas. We had proposals for 4 work groups that were developed by some of the members of the advisory committee. Those were presented, and we followed that up with an opportunity for the members of the advisory committee participating in the meeting to give an endorsement as to whether each of those initiatives was worth spending advisory committee time on, and then secondarily for them to sign up for one or more of those initiatives if they were interested in contributing as volunteers to those different areas. So we followed the meeting up with an email invitation to everyone on the mailing list to do the same, even if they were not able to have been at that meeting. And the people who had developed the initiative presentations are taking on the responsibility of convening the work groups between now and the next advisory committee meeting to kick those efforts off, refine the goals and objectives for the work group. We encourage them to focus on the near term. We understand that much of the draft of the plan will be developed in 2025. So to the extent that there's anything that will have an influence on content of the plan, it will be helpful to have that developed sooner than later. But the expectation is that the groups will continue on into the future, certainly to the development and adoption of the plan. And for some groups, they may continue even beyond that, because there are some pretty meaty issues that the advisory committee members would like to see tackled and are interested in providing some help in making that happen.
Well, I'm delighted you're on the board, and I'm delighted that you're taking this on. You and Brand are the right people. The advisory committee has looked at this charter, and it's acceptable to them?
There were some comments that came in on the charter.
What a surprise.
I don't think there were many.
No, there were not any substantive comments. So what you have before you is the final document that incorporates all of their comments.
My only comment as board president is that somewhere in this, it says that the board president will name a board member. This president named 2. But I'm sure that's not a horrendous item to be corrected.
Yes.
This is not a legal document, it's charter.
Okay.
Member Johnson, we're talking about the advisory committee. You're a co-leader. Do you want to
Yes.
add anything?
Yes, thank you. I'll just say that I'm really excited to be underway again with the advisory committee and looking forward to the work. We have an immense amount of talent and experience and brain power and some pretty meaty issues, as Board Member Andrews said. And I won't restate any of the great background that Jamie and Board Member Andrews gave, but I am really looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you for that. This is a vital committee to help with implementation of the plan and making sure that we're moving forward with understanding all the aspects that need to be done for an appropriate system. And we are immensely grateful to the talent that is part of this committee and that they're doing it all in their own time. So it's great to see that robust committee. Any other board members have a comment or question? Anyone in the audience want to leap up and say something about the advisory committee charter? Got your hands up. Okay. The request is for the board to adopt the resolution 2025-01. Is that right? I was checking my. Okay. So I'm not going to read the resolution. We all have it. It's got all of these items. I'm sure everyone has read it. And if it's in order, is there a motion to approve the resolution 2025-01? First one of this year.
I move that we approve the charter as presented in item 9, which
9A.
9A. Thank you.
Yes. And I think I hear Member Johnson seconding
And I'll
that.
second it.
Okay. I did.
Yeah.
Motion by Member Andrews, second by Member Johnson. And no more discussion appears necessary. Please call the roll.
Member Andrews?
Aye.
Member Bosler is absent. Member Griego?
Yes.
Member Countryman?
Yes.
Secretary Johnson?
Aye.
Vice President Valines is absent. President Dolan?
Yes. Maybe when the other two come back, they will weigh in on some future thing we'll say. And we would have said yes if we were there. So the motion carries with 7 votes, which is what's necessary. So thank you. Thanks for your work. We look forward to more information.
Thank you.
Did you have another announcement?
Not yet.
Oh, when does that occur?
Hopefully soon.
Okay. Okay. You say so. All right. Now it's time for the tutor to come up on the screen. Item 9B, as in Bob, is a request to approve permit number 19914 for the construction of 1.6 miles of levee cutoff wall for the Tudor Flood Risk Reduction Project. Mr. Sandnosky from our staff is going to introduce this item.
Excellent.
Good morning.
Well,
And you're going to say we're combining 9C with this one.
that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so good morning, President Dolan, members of the board. My name is Dustin Stanosky, and I'm a senior engineer with the Flood System Improvement Branch. I'm here today to introduce the Tudor Flood Risk Reduction Project as a board action to conditionally approve permits 19914 and 13624-1 This is agenda items both 9B and 9C. The reason why is 9B and 9C, approving two different permits. So I also have Chris Fritz here with me from RNF Engineer. He was the lead consultant on the project. And I would like to provide a special thanks to Chandra Jenkins from the Army Corps of Engineers, Chief of the 4-Weight Permission Section, and Colonel Caldwell to help expeditiously get this to this point. You know, we've heard a lot about resources, you know, lacking resources at the Corps, and they really helped step up and help get us to this point so we could begin this project during this flood season. So thank you to them.
Before you go on, let
Yes.
me just say, and to be clear, that what we are talking about now are both items 9B, permit number 19914, which is in the Tudor Risk Reduction Project, and 9C, permit number 13624-1, which is also within the Tudor Flood Risk.
Correct.
They have different permits because it's different elements, same system.
Correct. Yes. And so on the next slide, exactly what you just said, President Dolan. We're approving permit, conditionally approving permit 1914, permit 13624-1. As I'll state later, we have the notice of complete submittal from the Army Corps, and we're expecting the letter of permission any day. And so for permit 1914, it's for approximately 8,800 feet of seepage cutoff wall along the southernmost portion of the Feather River West Levee. And permit 13624-1 is for an existing 20-inch pipe removal and replacement due to the cutoff wall construction. And it's located approximately midway along the length of the cutoff wall. It's located approximately midway between Sacramento and Yuba City, again on the Feather River. And as you can see there, it's at the southernmost portion of the Feather River. It is adjacent to the town of Nicholas and Highway 99, and it abuts the Sutter Bypass. Okay, project footprint, as you can see there on the red line, that's the alignment of the cutoff wall, approximately 8,800 feet. That white line about midway, that's the location of the 20-inch irrigation pipe. And again, this is at the confluence between the Sutter Bypass and the Feather River. So some project background. Sutter Butte Flood Control Agency, or SBUFCA. The applicant is a joint powers agency formed in 2007 by the counties of Butte and Sutter. It includes the cities of Biggs, Gridley, Live Oak, and Yuba City, and Levee District 1 Sutter and Levee District 9. SBUFCA successfully implemented the Feather River West Levee project that extends from the Sutter Bypass East Levee to the Thermalito Afterbay Outlet. The Feather River West Levee project was approximately 40 miles of cutoff wall and seepage berm improvements. And this project is the final remaining segment from the Feather River West Levee project. The project site experienced distress during the 1986 and 1997 floods, as well as documented performance issues associated with the 2006 floods. So it's definitely in need of levee improvement. So the cutoff wall, 4 steps. Step 1, to grade the top 1/3 of the levee to establish a working surface, and then excavate the cutoff trench and fill with type 1 soil. Step 2, construct the cutoff wall, which will be between 33 and 59 feet deep as measured from the working surface. They will install sediment plates, place temporary cap, and then monitor the sediment plate. So steps 3, after approval by the agency, they will remove the temporary cap and excavate the cutoff wall to a minimum depth of 1 foot, remove the settlement plate. Then they will construct a levee embankment fill, soil type 1, and then reconstruct a levee embankment fill with soil type 2. It's basically regrading the levee, reconstructing the levee. So of note, the levee will be constructed to its pre-construction condition, such as height, slope, and alignment. So that definitely makes this project a lot easier to approve, to review, as basically it, there won't be any further modifications to the levee. Simple cutoff wall. Next slide. So as well, the additional permit for the 20-inch irrigation pipe, again, due to construction of the cutoff wall, this pipe will need to be removed and replaced. The initial plan was to complete this entire project in one season. Unfortunately, we're getting a late start into this construction season. So the plan for construction is to complete this project in 2 construction seasons. The applicant, like I said, initially tried to make it one. So the contractor will begin construction of the cutoff wall, starting at the Sutter Bypass East Levee and work east until it reaches this pipe. They'll then close up the levee and then begin at Highway 99 and work west until they come to this pipe crossing. They'll close up the levee, and hopefully they can get that done within one flood season. If they have plenty of time to continue, they will then to proceed with removing and relocating this, removing the pipe, filling in the additional cutoff wall, and then replace the pipe. But as of now, it looks like they will not have enough time to complete this project in one season. And so they'll basically construct it this way and then come back next year and finish the job.
Would you please remind me what the construction season is defined, how it is defined?
April 15th through October 31st. And
Okay, well, we already missed the April 15th.
yes, so, that was, part of the issue, and that's again why we wanted to, give a special thanks to the Army Corps to helping us get this approved as quickly as they could. Because they're having to degrade the top third of the levee and expose the levee, getting temporary variance requests approved by our board becomes a little bit more, kind of subjective, I guess. It doesn't often rain as much in November, that late in the flood season. Typically that'll come in, January, February. However, we do have to take special care in allowing them to continue construction into the flood season. However, if conditions do remain dry, we can approve a temporary variance request to allow them to continue into the flood season. That might allow them to complete this project, but, again, these are special cases. Next slide, please.
Through the chair.
Member Grego?
So you mentioned a variance might be an avenue that they would maybe go down in order to complete this project.
Possibly, yes,
And,
yes.
And is there a way to make that process of getting a variance, because they don't know until the last minute where they're at in this construction and whether we're going to have a dry November or not. Is there a way to make that process a little bit smoother and easier and, quick?
I understand, and
I mean, and the reason I ask is because time is money. I mean, this doesn't come without cost.
yeah.
Mr. Wright, our
Oh,
chief
thank you.
engineer can answer this.
Thank you.
Hopefully, this doesn't require waiting for a board member.
Thank you, Michael Wright, Chief Engineer. Dustin's referring to time variance requests,
Yeah.
which are issued by board staff.
Okay.
We heard about those during our workshop and the fees. So, yeah, it's a pretty quick process, but we have to be conscious of any flood or any rains coming that could, possibly have an issue or create an issue for the project moving forward. So it's usually a pretty quick process that's handled by staff.
Of course. Yeah, of course, public safety is paramount. But, so the turnaround on that is pretty quick then, because it's done by staff.
Yeah, we request they submit those 10 days prior to construction or when they want to do the work, and we get those turned around within that time frame.
Great, very good. Thank you.
Yes, so I can approve temporary variance requests, after review. I would like to mention that Sabufka has actually started, they want to hit the ground running as soon as we can get this permit approved. And hopefully that will help, speed up the entire process. Unfortunately, constructing a cutoff wall is timely, you know, and there are a lot of different aspects to it. And so they're aware, the contractor is aware of the, you know, the different parameters of this project, and they feel that it's in their best interest to ensure that, you know, that this project can be done well, rather than, you know, spend too much time focusing on the pipe versus, you know, actually constructing the cutoff wall, because the cutoff wall would provide the most, you know, flood risk reduction. So staff's project analysis. The design water surface elevation was established in the report, Design Water Surface Profiles for the Feather River West Levee Project, dated March of 2012. The report was developed from the larger project and applies to this project. The current top of levee, like I said, this project will not require any additional you know, modification to the levee. So the current top of levee typically provides 4 feet of freeboard, whereas the minimum requirement is 3 feet. This project will reconstruct the levee to match pre-project lines and grades, like I said, no impacts to adjacent levee systems. And the level of flood protection is not increasing. However, there will be a reduction in flood risk due to reduced under seepage and through seepage, which is the whole point of this cutoff wall. And no impacts to water surface elevations are anticipated because of this project. So the geotechnical analysis. The scope of geotechnical analysis for the project included a steady state seepage analysis to evaluate under seepage, a steady state stability analysis to evaluate landside stability, and a rapid drawdown stability analysis to evaluate waterside stability conditions. The applicant proposed the levee cutoff wall repair measures included in the project based on the results of the calculations, as well as a review of the performance and history of the existing levee, subsurface conditions, and adjacent land use. Board staff reviewed the analysis and concurs that the stability and seepage analysis are consistent with the best professional practices. The applicant also conducted additional evaluation between September and October of '24 through a U.S. ACE Section 408 authorization for a drilling and invasive program plan, a DIPP. So this provided additional geotechnical drilling and archaeological and tribal monitoring for the project. So these additional explorations provided the needed supplemental geotechnical information that filled in any data gaps. They also provided supporting evidence that there are no archaeological remains existing within the project site. That was really big. All the results recommend the proposed levee repairs, and no adverse effects are anticipated. So board staff reviewed the project per Title 23 requirements for project completeness and compliance. After the initial project submittal to the board in January of '23, board staff reviewed it to make sure that the minimum requirements for project completeness have been submitted, such as project description, LMA endorsement, environmental documentation, and minimum 35 to 65% design plans, as well as adjacent landowner information. Board staff then issued a Army Corps Section 408 transmittal to begin their review of the project. And board staff worked concurrently with the Army Corps to ensure that the proposed project met all Title 23 and Army Corps 408 requirements. Project compliance has been met for hydraulic and geotechnical design standards, as well as CEQA requirements, real estate and operations and maintenance. And like I said before, the Army Corps issued their notice of complete submittal to the board last month in March. And board staff is expecting the letter of permission any day now. And so that's why we're asking for conditional approval of these permits. And we will issue those permits after the LOP is received. Okay, so for CEQA, board staff independently reviewed and considered the Sutter Butte Flood Control Agency's draft and final EIR and mitigation monitoring and reporting program. CEQA findings have been prepared and have been determined that permits 19914 and 13624-1 will not result in any significant adverse impacts related to flood risk. And so recommended board action, Staff asks that the board adopt the CEQA findings, conditionally approve the permits upon receipt of the letter of permission, and direct the executive officer to execute the permits and file the NOD with the state clearinghouse. And that's all that I have. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions.
Mr. Sanowski, Mr. Wright, the board's staff informational presentation of action says that we would approve substantially in the form provided. Do we change that language to, what did you say, conditionally?
Conditionally approve. I could have added that, and I was thinking that I didn't actually have that in my information. Yes, please conditionally approve these
Okay.
permits in their substantial form.
Okay, we'll add that language.
Substantial form. Thank you.
You call it Sabufka. I call it the Sutter Butte.
Oh, nice.
Flood Control
Nice.
Agency. Just saying, because
Oh, yeah.
I'm a Butin, as we say in Butte County.
Nice, nice.
I'm not supposed to be funny anymore, so forget I said that. All right. Board members, any question? This is the last remaining. This has been a pretty big deal down the Feather River.
It really has.
Uh,
It really has.
And very important, so you have a lot of people watching it.
Mhm.
Thank you for your questions and input. Member Andrews? Our board members who are online, you going to raise your hand, or we're going to move forward? Nothing? Okay. Anyone in the audience?
Oh, great.
Since you know a little bit about this, I was hoping you would
Yeah.
come forward.
Hello, President
So we
Dolan,
can
members of the
congratulate
board. Good to see you all again. Chris Fritz, here with Sutter Butte Flood Control Agency. Just wanted to say we're very excited, to be reaching this milestone on this important project. As you know, these projects take time, a lot of hard work to get to this point. We're busy gearing up for construction right now. So just wanted to say thanks also to your staff and the Corps, our partner agencies, because, yeah, it does take a lot of hard work to get to where we're at, but it is exciting to finally get here. So, thank you.
Maybe our partners from the Army Corps could stand or raise their hand that you're here. Over there, okay. Mr. Gonzalez, thank you for that. Sometimes we wait, sometimes we don't, so we're getting better on that. Are you ready to ask us for action?
Yes, please.
I'll make a motion.
Just so we can say, the board staff recommends these three parts of the motion. To adopt the CEQA findings that the proposed work under both permits will not result in significant adverse impacts. One of the slides has all the wording there, and it's in the report. Approve the encroachment permits conditionally and substantially in the form provided for both permits, 19914 and 13624-1, and to direct the executive officer to take the necessary steps to execute the permits and complete the notices of determination required to the clearinghouse. I heard that as your motion.
Yes.
Member Griego. And a
Yes.
second by Member
I
Andrews.
second.
Is that right? I heard you. Okay. I see no more reason for discussion, so please call the roll.
Member Andrews?
Aye.
Member Bosler is absent. Member Griego?
Yes.
Member Countryman?
Yes.
Secretary Johnson?
Aye.
Vice President Valines is absent. President Dolan?
Yes. Motion carries.
Excellent. Thank you.
5 votes, so that was good. All right. In case you saw me and the executive officer talking head to head, I'm going to say why. Our esteemed attorney, Mr. Dua, has communicated through text that we need to redo the advisory committee action because the motion that we spoke forward said to adopt the resolution. Mr. Dua is going to explain to me why he says we need to do it again, even though I think I know. Mr. Dua, we are back to item 9A.
Thank you, Madam President. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. The motion before the board, as expressed by Member Andrews, was to approve the charter when it should have been adopting the resolution. So I would request that the board make another motion adopting the resolution and retake the vote. Thank you.
Do we need to rescind the prior motion or just move forward?
I think the motion could indicate that the prior motion was incorrectly stated and that the new motion should carry.
Okay. You see
Did
that
that make
wording there
sense?
on the, on our agenda? You could just say, I move, and then read that. That would be great.
All right.
I'm going to call on Member Johnson, Member Andrews, to do this once again.
My apologies for the prior error.
Oh, I think that was your board president that did that.
I move that we adopt Resolution 2025-01 for the adoption of the Charter of the Central Valley Flood Protection Board Advisory Committee on implementation of habitat-related, this should read, actions identified in the 2022 update of the Central Valley Flood Protection Plan.
I like that, actions. All right, that's the motion now before us. Board Member Johnson, are you the second?
Yes, this is my second.
Okay, this will be our second one. Okay, anyone want to talk about why we're doing this again? No. Please call the roll.
Member Andrews.
Aye.
Member Bosler is absent. Member Griego.
Yes, with one clarification. With council, does she need to state a rescinding of the first reading of that?
No, I did ask that. I think you said it can all be incorporated.
Okay.
That's what I heard.
As long as it is incorporated in the motion.
Member, sorry.
Member Andrews, would you revise your motion to say, and this rescinds the prior one?
Gladly.
Okay, the motion is now. And Member Johnson, will you second that revision?
I will.
Okay. Okay.
And my
So
vote was yes.
Yeah, I vote from, okay, start all over with the call.
Member Andrews.
Aye.
Member Bosler is absent. Member Griego.
Yes.
Member Countryman.
Yes.
Secretary Johnson.
Aye.
Vice President Valines is absent. President Dolan.
Yes. Right. That motion, rescinding and readopting, has been approved by 5 votes. The third time is the charm? That was only the second. Oh, okay. We had a little revision there. I need to get a little organized here in front, so we're going to call a 10-minute break. Hello again. The board is reconvening after 10 minutes break. I think. I wasn't watching. And you were all talking, so I didn't hear that you were complaining. So welcome back. We're still at board items. We're at item 9D. That would be D as in Dolan. An informational briefing. And Selva Mohan.
Yes.
Gotta slow down. You're an important person. From the board staff is going to introduce this item. So good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Good morning, President Dolan, members of the board. My name is Selva Solomon. I am the manager of the Sacramento Levee Section, Flood System Improvement Branch board staff. Today, along with our federal sponsor, Army Corps of Engineers and their consultants, we are here to present the Sacramento Weir and Bypass Widening Project update. This is an informational briefing. Before I get that, I wanted to introduce the team here. Adam Beer, our lead civil engineer from the Army Corps of Engineers. Cesar Medina, project engineer for the Army Corps of Engineers, and Kevin Fellows, civil lead from HDR Consultants. Thank you, everyone. Next slide.
I'm glad you're here.
I have only few slides, probably 3 slides before I turn the project to Adam. So here the project American River Common Features 2016 project sponsors and partners are shown in this slide. As you can see in the triangle shaped, agency, marking at the top on the from the federal side, Army Corps of Engineers is the federal sponsor to this project, and from the state side, Central Valley Protection Board, and from the local Sacramento Area Flood Control Agency known as SAFECA. A 3-party project partnership agreement was executed in 2019 to implement this American River Common Features 2016 project. In the same time, a local project partnership agreement, as you can see on the right side of the slide, was executed between the Central Valley Protection Board and Sacramento Area Flood Control Agency that delineates the roles and responsibilities of each agency. Collectively, the board
Silva,
and yes.
Before you go on, I just want to emphasize some things on this slide. It takes a partnership and money from all of our partnerships and activity and knowledge and coordination for these things to happen. Not one of these entities, including this flood board, stands alone doing everything. And the agreements that we make between all the partners could be years before things actually do accomplish. But in the meantime, we are all working together as partners.
Absolutely, 100%. And then collectively, the board and SAFECA as named as non-federal sponsors in the project partnership agreement. DWR, Department of Water Resources, plays a major role by providing project support to the board and other agencies, and also they are the ultimate agency to operate and maintain the facilities once it's completed. Next slide. This is just a snippet from the project partnership agreement that again defines the roles and responsibilities of each agency. As you can see at the last sentence in that, it says the board and SAFECA hereinafter referred to as the non-federal sponsors, just to naming convention. Next slide, please. This map shows the project elements covered under the American River Common Features 2016 project. It has 3 components, major components. The American River improvements and North Area streams are highlighted in green circle on that center portion of the map. And the improvements from the Sacramento to Freeport along the Sacramento River East Levee is a second component of the project, and then the third component is widening the Sacramento bypass and the weir. That's the focus of today's presentation, and Adam and his team will go over the project update and presentation. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Selva. Good morning, President Dolan and members of the board. My name is Adam Beyer, and I'm the engineering technical lead for the Sacramento Weir Widening Project for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. We last briefed this project in 2022 after the completion of our design phase. Next slide, please. We're going to be providing an overview of the project, introduce the new weir, the Sacramento Weir North, and provide an update on construction. Next slide, please. Our story starts with the historic Sacramento Weir constructed over 100 years ago. The Sacramento Weir was constructed in 1917 along the west bank of the Sacramento River. It is located approximately 3 miles upstream of the confluence with the American River. The weir is 1,920 feet long, has a flow conveyance capacity of 112,000 cubic feet per second, and consists of 48 gates or bays that have needle gates. The figure on the left is an illustration out of the Sacramento Bee that shows how those gates are manually operated from above to lift a cross beam so that the needle gates can allow floodwaters into the Sacramento bypass. Next slide, please. This slide highlights some of the historical photos of that period. The top 2 are from the construction On the left is the construction of the Weir Stilling Basin. On the right is constructing the bridge overhead. The photo on the lower right is from 1920 and shows an early flood condition with water passing through the needle gates at the Sacramento Weir. Next slide, please. Going into the project timeline for the Sacramento Weir widening project, it completed the feasibility phase and was authorized in 2016. The project was funded in 2018 and entered the design phase, which was completed in 2022. During the design phase, through collaboration with the non-federal partners and in considering operations and maintenance and environmental considerations, the project evaluated active versus passive weir. An active weir is one that has gated structure similar to the Sacramento Weir just to the south of our new weir location. And a passive weir is an ungated weir. Through that collaboration, the project team selected the passive weir design. We started construction in July of 2023 and are expecting completion in December of 2026. Next slide, please. This project has been driven by successful collaboration both nationally and locally, and with essential support from our non-federal partners. As shown on the map, we've had support from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and our architect engineer, HDR, from across the United States, highlighted by the red core castles on the screen and the HDR logo. And the team also was awarded the Civil Engineering Team of Excellence USACE National Award in 2024. So I'd like to highlight that for the great team that we have supporting this project. Next slide, please. Going into the project purpose, we have flood control and fish passage. Starting on the right-hand side of the photo, we have the Sacramento River. During a flood, the water rises in the Sacramento River, and once it reaches our crest elevation of 26 feet for the passive weir, floodwaters would overtop that weir and into the Sacramento bypass and eventually the Yola bypass. After the flood stops overtopping the weir, our fish passage structure would have the gate opened. That would allow fish to migrate up the fish passage channel and fish passage structure and back into the Sacramento River. Kevin will be providing some more information on the fish passage design and elements of that later in the presentation. Next slide, please. This slide highlights the design flood overview for the system around the Sacramento Weir, which is in the center of the diagram. The flow conveyance capacity of the combined weirs will be increased to 177,000 cubic feet per second, up from 112,000 for the existing weir. One of the things that I'd like to highlight that is interesting for this system is that during a design flood, floodwaters from the American River cause a reverse flow condition in the Sacramento River, and the floodwaters from the American River and Sacramento Rivers combine to go out of the Sacramento bypass and into the Yola bypass. This causes a reduction or allows for a reduction in the flood elevations downstream in the Sacramento River near the city of Sacramento. Next slide, please. Now getting to the project overview, which Caesar will be sharing some photos and the exciting features of our project. Starting on the right, with highlighted in yellow, is the Lower Elkhorn Basin Levee Setback Project by DWR, which is setting back the levees within the Sacramento bypass and the Yola bypass. The Sacramento Weir Widening Project has a levee segment highlighted in green, which connects to the DWR segment and also connects to the existing levee along the Sacramento River right bank. Moving along to the river, highlighted in red is the new weir, Sacramento Weir North, which will have a vehicle bridge for Old River Road, transporting traffic over the weir. Then down the middle of the bypass is the fish passage channel and fish passage structure, which will allow fish passage from Tule Canal within the Yolo bypass up to the Sacramento River. And the last thing I want to highlight on this slide is just the location of the project. Why Sacramento Weir North is directly north of the Sacramento Weir. Next slide, please. This slide shows a 3D representation of the weir structure with the roadway bridge overhead. The passive weir will be 1,455 feet long and have the road bridge overhead. The weir is slated for construction in 2026, and the vehicle bridge is has construction underway, and Caesar will highlight some of the progress photos from that bridge going vertical. Next slide, please. This is a slide showing the weir cross-section with the Sacramento River on the left and Sacramento Bypass on the right. When floodwaters start going over the weir crest and under the bridge, they would enter the stilling basin where water would dissipate the energy before it gets discharged into the bypass. The project's vehicle bridge is supported by approximately 755 piles across 24 bridge piers and 2 abutments, and has a span of about 1,500 feet, so a little bit longer than the weir itself. Now, Caesar Medina is going to give an overview of the construction update and highlight some of the project photos from the last 2 years. Thank you for your time.
Are you going to come back over?
What was that?
Are you done with your part?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Beer.
Thank you.
Construction.
Construction. Good morning, President Dolan and members of the board. I'm Cesar Medina, the lead project engineer with the Corps for the Sac Weir expansion project. Next slide, please. So we're opening up, just kind of showing the left picture shows the footprint of the site before we got out there. That was taken in 2020. And if you look to your right, that's about a year into construction in 2024. One of the key things to highlight here is just the, on the right, the picture to the right, the detour in effect, going to the junction right at the existing weir that's out there, which essentially just kind of brings traffic to a stop, which we've had pretty effective detour on that. Next slide, please. Our prime contractor is Granite Construction. They were awarded the contract for $173 million for a 2023 to 2026 construction season. The quality assurance team, led by myself, is out of the USAE Sacramento District, Natomas Resident Office, highlighting a few key milestones that we've completed to date other than the start of construction in 2023, and that would be the completion of the North Levee setback and the completion of the Phase 2 fish passage work. Next slide, please. So we'll go into a time lapse of the project. This is back in November of 2023. I'll start up at the top. So with the completion of the North Levee setback, it's a little bit harder to see in this picture without it surcharging on top, but we'll get some more closer pictures into the presentation. That established our line of protection with the levels contract just left of the picture. You can't see it right now, but that gives us our line of protection so that within the project, we're able to work through the winter seasons, which we have since 2023 to now. We have the pile driving on the bridge going on. You'll see there's not that many piles through the piers. They're in the middle of their testing program, currently trying to identify the proper depths in order to reach capacity for the bridge piers. Down at the bottom, you'll see the start of the fish passage structure excavation, and that's going from east to west, which is right to left in the picture. Next slide. Now moving on to April 2024, North Levee setback had been completed. The surcharging was almost starting up to the right of the picture. You'll see we have the downstream walls being formed up just adjacent to the North Levee setback. And then our pile driving testing program still ongoing, reaching completion down on the southern end of the bridge. And then highlighting the fish passage structure. Majority of the piles were in at this time with the start of the ancillary structure foundations and the fish passage foundations. And then actually, you mind going back real quick? Mentioned in the first picture, that temporary levee from the levels team that gave us that line of protection. You can see it right there in this picture in the top left. Next slide, please. So moving on to July of 2024, wall construction and backfill. That was completed for the downstream walls down up at the top right, as well as the surcharging above the NLS levee, and then as well with the backfill adjacent to the abutment the north abutment of the bridge. You'll notice in the bridge piers, majority of the piers are in now with the actual pile driving program moving forward out of its testing. I think at this time we're about 4 or 5 piers short of completing the pile driving program there. Fish passage had been completed prior to this with the erection of the first few walls of the ancillary structure and the fish passage itself. And then one thing to note at the top left is that phase 2 construction had also started up during this summer construction season on the opposite side of the temporary levee going out to the Thule Canal, which is in the foreground. Next slide, please. We have top right of the picture, near completion of the north abutment. The rebar cages were up and just waiting for that to get done so that way the backfilling of the north abutment can get started, and that would be that new alignment of Old River Road that would connect us to the bridge. Near completion of the pile driving for the bridge as well at this time in September of 2024. You'll notice more walls going up down at the bottom of the fish passages, and then that would be a primary focus on the southern end of the walls going out towards the temporary levee out there. And it's a little harder to see in this picture, but in the top left of the phase 2 construction, you can see that riprap going in and reaching near completion of the grading of the bypass transport channel that goes out to Thule. Next photo, please. So this year, January 2025, up at the top right, the north abutment of the bridge had been completed with its backfilling as well, and the surcharging for the new Old River Road alignment to connect us to that bridge. All the pile driving within the bridge is completed as well, with the start of the first pier walls going up north of the picture, or top right of the picture. We'll have some more in the presentation that has a little bit better zoomed in on that. And then you'll notice here on the fish passage, the southern walls were completed, going all the way to where the bypass is. That enabled the contractor to start up their backfilling of the central embankment, which you can see that equipment there in the left-hand side of the photo. At this time, too, phase 2 construction for the fish passage was completed in November 15th of 2024, so it was able to experience its first winter season this past winter. Next slide, please. And then to date, as of April 2025, just continuing down on the northern end of the bridge, working their way southward. Granite is anticipating to start up a new heading on the southern end of the bridge as well, to kind of expedite the bridge walls and the pile caps. You'll notice on the bottom left, the fish passage structure backfill is near completion for that central embankment. And then just another photo showing the phase 2 work in its wetted condition. Next slide, please. So we're going to go a little bit more into depth on some of the other construction activities through what we've done so far. I'll talk a little bit more about the North Levee setback and the Old River Road Bridge. And Kevin will go into more of the bypass transport channel and fish passage phase 2 work. So North Levee setback, the surcharging we were talking about, if you look at the picture in your top right, the red shaded area. So the North Levee setback is everything below that. The surcharging placed on top is to ensure that we can get that consolidation prior to the actual paving of the new County Road 126. And that road will connect Old River Road to the new levels levee that's built just to the left of that picture. Like I talked about earlier with the our new line of protection, in the picture to your bottom right, you'll see that teal shaded area coming from the left to the right. That's that temporary levee constructed by the levels contract that connects to our North Levee setback in the dark blue, which is critical for our project just because it allows that new line of protection for the area, and it allows the contractor to be in that little basin that we have there and continue working through 2023 wet season and the 2024 wet season. Next slide, please. Just noting the County Road 126 connection, you'll see the dotted line there after removal of the surcharging. Old River Road is running perpendicular at the bottom of the picture, or just outside the picture, and that will connect us to the levels levee that's going out to the foreground. And then the bottom right is just noting that Old River Road embankment that has its surcharging as well, and that'll be the new alignment that connects us to the north abutment of the bridge. Next slide, please. And then just on the bridge, it's 1,500 feet, 1,500 linear feet of bridge, 24 bridge piers founded on piles, 755 concrete piles or concrete filled piles. There is some PG&E and AT&T relocation that will be needed once we get into the 2026 season. All those utilities will be running under the bridge, and that'll bridge that gap to the other side. Next slide, please. So it's just kind of a little time lapse of the bridge construction itself. So at the top left, you'll see the indicator or our first test piles going in for the testing program. At that time, too, our mass soil mixing had been completed in the footprint of the bridge. If you move on to July in the top right, you'll see all the piles in, ready to go for forming up of the pile caps themselves. And then the bottom left and the bottom right kind of show, and you can see the north abutment in the bottom left picture. The pile caps going up as well as the wall rebar cages. And then in the next couple of weeks, we'll have our first bent caps on top of those walls going up as well. Next slide. And with that, I'll turn it over to Kevin. Thank you.
Wow. That was a pretty good discussion of a very complex project going on. Like, what's what? Thank you for all the north-south things. So I could figure out which one you did.
Good morning, President Dolan, members of the board. My name is Kevin Fellows. I work with HDR, the lead civil on the project, and providing support to the Army Corps for the construction support services. This image provides a nice view of the Phase 2 area that Caesar and Adam mentioned, which is the work at the existing Sacramento weir, as well as the transition structure and stilling basin drain channel to provide fish passage to the existing weir. So there's a fish passage component to the new project, to the Sacramento weir north, but there are also improvements that were completed to the existing weir to improve fish passage. Also, the green area is the active construction area that Caesar mentioned that is protected by that temporary bypass levee. View provides a closer shot of the overview of the project. You could see the stilling basin modifications and the stilling basin drain channel in construction with the riprap placement partially placed. It also shows the alignment of the future bypass transport channel where it transitions from the fish passage structure, connects to the stilling basin drain channel. We have an Arizona crossing incorporated into that design for O&M and access. And then the bypass transport channel heads out to the west about 8,000 feet to the tie-in at the Tule Canal.
Is there a reason it's called the Arizona crossing?
It's so it allows water to flow across the roadway, and so it's protected. So if you've been on those roadways that meander in Arizona, they don't put large culverts under them. They just allow those high flows to flow across the top of the roadway. I've heard of it being called a New Mexico crossing also, so it's not.
Something about the southern part of our United States, huh?
Yeah.
Every time I've been to Arizona, it's dry.
September, I think September's your only month there.
Sorry.
We could go to the next slide. So it provides a view in 2025, and so you could see the bypass transport channels activated. This was a huge success this year, this summer in '24. When we talk about partnerships, Army Corps, DWR, Central Valley Flood Protection Board, and the contractor all collaborated to complete this Phase 2 work this year prior to the wet season. And so it took a lot of effort. really a lot of collaboration with the levels contractor and the DWR team, because those construction footprints overlapped also. And so it was truly a partnership and a great success this year, and it was activated this year. Go to the next slide. Provides some overview, just the timeline. You can see in November 23, we started excavation for the fish passage structure. Piles are going in April 24, and we have the slab going in, and they're starting to pour the walls at the very east limits. And then this month, you can see the majority of the walls are in place. The contractor's starting to work on the baffles, and the gate structures will be coming in the next term. And as far as the fish passage structure, the fish ladder, which is shown on top, provides access for both salmon and sturgeon. And so imagine the design efforts that we had to go through to model that, considering a fish that's 1 foot long versus 7 foot long, and what kind of science went into justifying those velocities and working with the resource agencies on that. And then provided the photo, you can see the photo location. This is standing at the very east limits of the project on the left-hand side of the page. And I just thought these were some pretty neat photos of the construction as the walls went up and things progressed there. The scale of the project is quite amazing. It's 30-foot walls. We could go to the next slide. So it's a little more information on the modeling, as well as the details of the project. Like I said, it's 450 feet for the fish ladder, and the fish passage channel is 195 feet. We also show in green labels, that's the work that's been completed to date. And so the work that's provided in the gray labels is going to be occurring in the construction season, 2026 construction season. The project needs to complete the bridge and move traffic onto the main bridgeway into the permanent alignment to allow the degrade of the right bank of the Sacramento River and demolition of the Old River Road where it currently sits.
Good luck with that.
So view of the model. So that's the model that we worked through as we kind of worked to visualize the project. And this just shows a similar view of the actual construction. It's nice to see things come together like that, and hopefully we'll have one of the finished project here soon.
Thank you for that one. Now I know which way it goes.
Yeah. And a little more detail on the gates. There's 2 gates. There's one for fish passage and for the fish ladder, and one for the fish passage channel. I'll talk a little bit about the operations here in a second, but these are not small gates. It's 16-foot wide, 15-foot high gates to pass those flows through the structure. And so as far as operation, this graphic provides, if you look at the bar chart on the bottom, you can see that it would have been activated 4 years in a row from 2016 to 2019. And then the graph above provides, it's based on 2019, and it provides a reference as far as river stage when the project would be activated as it relates to fish passage. So as Adam mentioned earlier, the passive weir has a crest of elevation 26. And so once water exceeds 26 and starts on the receding edge, that's when the fish ladder is activated. And so as the river stage drops from 26 down to 17, fish ladder remains activated, but when it goes below 17 and above 14, both the fish passage channel and the fish passage ladder are activated. And so below, from 14 to 10, just the fish passage channel is activated and the ladder's closed. And so the reason for that is the ladder goes from elevation 7 to 14 at the main river. So that's for higher flows to allow fish to get back into the river when you have a higher river stage. But then at the lower river stage, it's the invert's out of the water, so we have to activate the fish passage channel. A few photos of the phase 2 improvements. These are the improvements to the existing weir that accommodated the fish passage that I mentioned earlier. There is improvements at the south limits of the weir, which is in your upper right, and then the slab was also repaired at your lower right at the north limits. And then you can see that at the transition structure where at the very north limits of the project. And then one thing I did want to note, your lower left is the guide vanes. So there's 4 existing guide vanes in the existing weir, and what we had to do was provide orifices to allow that water to flow from the very south limits to the transition structure. So I think those are 7 by 7 foot wide openings to allow that flow to get across from the very south limits to the north. So view from above, so you can see the transition structure. There's a nice shot of your Arizona crossing at the confluence, and then a couple views of the bypass transport channel and the tie-in to Thule. Just a note, that bypass transport channel is about 80 foot wide from top of bank to top of bank. We provide a few of the upcoming milestones here. Main one, just want to note, is we're looking at December 2026 for construction completion. And thank you for your time, and if anyone has any questions, we're happy to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Fellows. Board Member Countryman, were you able to see all of those slide presentations and the information?
Yes, I was. Very good. Thank you.
I know this
Lot
is
of work
something
up
you've
there.
been watching and you know about, so I just called upon you first.
Yeah, I was pretty active in going for the passive weir versus the gated weir out there, so I'm glad to see it going in.
You don't often get compliments from him, so be sure to smile. He's the tough guy. Let me think here. We're on 42, and we go all the way to 53 for these. Board members have any questions or comments at this point? See none? I'm shocked.
I just like to, I know that there was a couple of years back, we went to this location and took a look at it. It'd be nice to go back again, especially for those that hadn't seen it, to take a look at the progress that's gone along.
Yeah, it's a little busier than when we went. Yeah. Yeah, let us all come so we can just mess up the construction going on that day. We're all going to stop before we come in with our hard hats. Okay. Any hands up? I don't see any calliope movement here of people coming up to talk, so who's next? Mr. Silva?
Silva Solomon, board staff. That concludes our presentation, and if there's no questions, I think I just wanted to thank Adam and his team for putting together this great presentation. It's a ton of work, besides their day-to-day job. Thank you, Adam.
Oh, okay. Well, that ending was a little lacking in climate. Okay, thank you. Wow, okay. So it only went to slide 43. What are the rest? Okay. We like these informational briefings. Board Member Griego's not the only one that likes tours. Okay, thank you. Then we'll move on to item 10, DWR items. Is that right? Okay. The first one is each month we receive a written report from DWR, goes through their sections and their activities. We read them, we appreciate them. Anyone want to make a comment or ask a question? No? Mr. Countryman, Mr. Johnson, any comments on the report of activities from DWR? Nope. Anyone in the room? Any public comment? No hands up? Okay. Then we will go on to, does Sandy Maxwell need to make a present? Someone's coming forward to make that for us? Okay. This is item 10B, as in Bob, Delta Levy Maintenance Subvention Program. I got the years wrong, but it's actually written correctly here. So I'm going to turn over to you so I don't make another tip of the slung. And I know you're not Sandy Maxwell, so tell us who you are.
Good morning, President Dolan and members of the board. My name is Justin Logan. I am here on behalf of Sandy, who is out on vacation with the Delta Levees Maintenance Subventions Program. And you are correct, we are here about fiscal year 23-24 funding. Next slide, please. So why we're here today, we're here to amend our funding plan for fiscal year 23-24 for an amount of $15.5 million. Right now, it is currently approved for $14 million. Next slide. So just a brief overview. We're always looking into the past at work that's already been done or into the future for future work. In this case, the board has already approved $14 million of funding. In November of last year, we received our application, or our final claims, which covered all the work done in that fiscal year. And we received 71 final claims with estimated eligible expenses of $20.6 million. Of that, we have an estimated state share cost of $14.9 million and a local share cost estimated to be $5.7 million. As you can see, the 14.9 is over the approved 14 million that we currently have.
By 0.9.
0.9.
Okay.
Next slide, please. So in our report, we propose to amend the Table 2 funding plan that was previously approved. This increases the funding from 14 million to 15.5. 15.5 is well over the 14.9 we believe we need, but we like to have a little leeway in case there are adjustments. We are currently processing 57 of the 71 payments, but we still have 14 left and things can change. It also includes 5 revised applications for fiscal year 23-24. This happened because RDs did a little more work than they anticipated, and the work agreements that were signed between the board and DWR and the RDs has a maximum amount of work to be done, and that needs to be raised to allow us to fully fund their work. So that allows, as it says at the bottom, for us to fully reimburse out our state share cost. Next slide. So as DWR staff, I'm recommending approval of the Table 2 amending funding plan for $15.5 million. If there are any questions.
What is the figure to which we are amending?
Table 2, it's at the end of the staff report. It includes maximum reimbursements for all of the reclamation districts, as well as a estimated based on the 15.5 million.
16.5?
15 point.
15.5, okay.
Correct. Not all reclamation districts do the estimated amount of work, and that allows for the funding to be raised potentially up to the maximum amount for those other reclamation districts.
And you provided to us a 2-page list, and it has all the names and RD numbers for the levies in the Delta.
Typically, at our June meeting, when we typically come to the board, we present a full,
Yes,
the
you
same
do.
table that includes pretty much full payment of everything, and then we project out fiscal year, in this case, 25-26 funding plans. So we will be back in another 2 months for that.
Okay, it's a great program, so come as much as you want, especially when you have more money. Okay, board members, comments? Questions, comments? No hands raised from that. Anyone in the audience? Is there a public comment? None? Okay, then we can proceed to approving the recommendation. Approve the fiscal year 2023-24. Did I get I got that correct?
Yes.
I messed that up in the beginning. Approve the fiscal year 2023-24 Subventions Program Amendment Number 2 of the Funding Allocation Plan, which I will not read because it's
It's
2
long.
pages of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns. So we're referring to that. Very helpful. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the recommended action.
Motion by Member Griego,
I will second.
second by Member Andrews. We've already had our discussion, presentation. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Please call the roll.
Member Andrews?
Aye.
Member Bosler is absent. Member Griego?
Yes.
Member Countryman?
Yes.
Secretary Johnson?
Aye.
Vice President Valines is absent. President Dolan?
Yes. That motion is adopted, 5 votes. We made it. Thank you. Okay, our annual presentation here. Some of us like it more than some of us. We like you, though. Item 10C is the Department of Water Resources Maintenance Area Budget for fiscal year 25-26. And Mr. Mark List is going to give us the information on that and what action we will take. And it's still morning.
Good morning. Mark List. I'm a supervising engineering geologist with the Department of Water Resources Division of Flood Operations in the Flood Maintenance and Operations branch. Today, I will be presenting the introductory material. Brian Murphy, my senior engineer specialist, also in our branch, will be presenting the actual budget briefing portion for board approval. This is a hearing and action item, so
Okay.
We will be asking the board for approval of this at the end of the presentation. Next slide, please. So just background, pretty similar presentation each year, trying to provide everyone with background and understanding. California Water Code Section 8370 basically makes it the responsibility of local districts, jurisdictions to operate and maintain state plan of flood control levees, with the exception of those levees that are identified and enumerated in Section 8361. That's DWR's direct responsibility. Next slide, please. So the maintenance responsibilities for local districts, as I said, are laid out in 8370, at least from a legislative standpoint. When a local district decides they don't want to continue operating and maintaining per the state plan of flood control agreements that they have with the board, or if maintenance is not being done, California Water Code Section 12878 at CEQA provides the mechanism for the state to have a backstop to have maintenance carried out by DWR on behalf of the state. Currently, we have 9 existing maintenance areas. Maintenance areas are established by this board or its predecessor, the Reclamation Board of California, through a legal process that's laid out in 12878 as well. DWR, once established, does all work in those maintenance areas for OMR, R&R, unless and until some other entity who can be responsible takes that over. And I'll point that out in just a second. DWR doesn't do this work at the state taxpayer expense directly. They do this work and get reimbursed by the local residents who are protected by that particular levy. That's how the Water Code lays it out, and that's how it works. So as with state plan of flood control, local districts, LMAs, counties, MAs are eligible to participate in all the other funding programs. So we do pursue that when we can to cut the direct costs to those protected residents. Makes sense that if a levy district was maintaining the levy and could obtain that for those residents, DWR as the maintainer can as well. Those are things like PL 8499, as was mentioned in the earlier presentation. 2 of the maintenance areas happen to be in the earlier presentation from Mr. Gonzalez. And DWR does participate, active status in PL 8499 for most of the systems I'll point out through a LOI SWIFT process or inspections if we can ever get things perfect. We also participate in things like flood system repair with cost share so that the levy gets maintained and corrected as necessary. Next slide, please. So 12878.22 talks about maintenance area responsibilities in the California Water Code, basically saying local obligations laid out can have anyone who wants to operate and maintain or has the legal authority to operate and maintain a levy, they can ask to take that best over. that levy over if it's in the best interest of the state. And that has happened, and I'll point that out in a future slide. Next slide, please. So we have created and dissolved MAs. This board or its predecessor has throughout the years. Next slide. Maintenance Area 10 and 11 as an example, both were created in 1958. O&M of American River levies, some of which, again, were presentations associated today with other board actions that you looked at. Those were created when a previous district decided not to maintain the levies any longer. Maintenance Area 10 and 11 existed for a number of years, and in 1991, American River Flood Control District came to the board and asked the board to dissolve that maintenance area and those two maintenance areas and take over that responsibility, and they've been maintaining it ever since, and they're part of that North Area Streams and American River process. Next slide. So Maintenance Area 5, another example, it's one of the budget items in this package today, created in 1954 when Butte County decided not to maintain a levy that they had, and later in 1958, the boundaries were modified effectively. Maintenance Area 5, Butte Creek system protects Chico and surrounding areas. So Maintenance Area 5 is one of the budget items for today, and it's an example of a creation that has happened historically and continues today. Next slide. Maintenance Area 16, created in 1986 by resolution when the Feather River West Levee area had a levee issue during the 1986 floods. That area had a very, very hard time keeping a board. That board dissolved twice, completely the Reclamation District Board at that time. Reclamation District 777, and you might note in the presentation earlier today that number is still listed in the levee system, although Reclamation District 777 doesn't maintain that levee. MA 16 does. So O&M for the area stopped after the 1986 floods, complete resignation of that board, reassignment of a new board. That board resigned as well. So MA 16 was created pretty rapidly, actually, after that event set, and it also is one of the 9 maintenance areas in this budget package today. It continues. Next slide. More recently, we had a dissolution of a maintenance area 3, which again was in that Feather River System inspection report. It was created in 1949 for portions of Butte and Sutter County, previously operated and maintained by a couple of reclamation districts in that area, and those both decided not to operate and maintain it any longer. That was then created. It maintained until 2023 when LD1 Sutter County picked up maintenance responsibility for that one by board action. So MA3 is not in this budget presentation and never will be again. It doesn't exist, although it still shows up on some of the maps and other things just simply because of history. Next slide, please. So maintenance area operation and maintenance responsibilities for 12878, that's the water code section that talks about DWR operating and maintaining. Effectively, it says all O&M costs are to be reimbursed by benefited properties. Maintenance areas include 9 current designated areas, about 145 miles of levee throughout the Sacramento River Flood Control Project system, as well as Middle Creek. Maintenance areas are in Butte, Colusa, Glenn, Lake, Sutter, and Yolo counties. Next slide. So getting into why we're here, Water Code 12878.27 states prior to the first day of April each year, the department shall basically go through and identify the work that's necessary for the next fiscal year, present that to the board in a package. That package then gets put together as part of the staff report and brought to the board typically in the April board meeting each year. That way the counties can collect the taxes that are necessary because the process has to be approved early enough for the tax rolls to go out. So consistent with that 12878.27, DWR transmitted our 2025-26 fiscal year MA budget package on the 28th of March as part of that staff report. And each year, basically, we identify actual costs for the previous closed fiscal year. an estimate of projections for the fiscal year in progress. So we're in April currently. Our fiscal year runs through June 30. So we're giving you closed fiscal year in process, and then we're providing you also the proposed budget for this coming fiscal year. Next slide, please. I'm going to turn it over to, oh, not yet? Okay, all right. Our transition isn't as clean as I'd like. So this is an example of that budget package that you have in your staff report. It includes a transmittal memo from our principal in the Flood Maintenance and Operations branch. It gives you an explanation of the budget for this year and talks about the previous closed years. It gives detailed summaries of the closed year and changes from previous years. All 9 of the maintenance areas, which are individual entities, get their own package of individual maintenance area distribution of work, which lists the work that's going to be done and a projection of costs. And then we have category descriptions for those. And then, as necessary and required by California Water Code, we provide a notice of this public hearing a minimum 2 weeks in advance in the newspapers. And I'll show you, Brian will show you where those were published as well. Next slide, please. So this is the notice. I guess I'll show you that. This is the notice of public hearing layout that was put in, all of those newspapers and the dates of running for those ads. So that's a water code requirement. Continue to do that. Even in the digital age, it's a necessary item, and some folks do read the newspaper still. So
Many of us do.
Right.
That's where the obituaries are.
I want to make sure I'm not in it. That's a good
And
idea.
every once in a while, someone's name is on there.
That's right. So table 1 here is the listing of public notice advertisements in compliance with that water code section 12878.29. Next slide, please. So we have maintenance areas in both of our areas of responsibility. We have 2 yards, one in West Sacramento, the Sacramento Maintenance Yard. It maintains MA4, which actually the yard sits on, the MA4 levee, and MA9. MA9 is a party to that discussion of ARCF 2016 work that was done and discussed earlier today as well. And then next slide, please. This slide shows the 7 maintenance areas that are in Sutter Maintenance Yard's area of responsibility, our north area. And that includes Lake County, which is it's an inset here, quite a distant maintenance area for MA17 in Lake County. Next slide. So the department has regular actions in relationship to inspections that we see, in relationship to just ongoing work that's necessary. So one of the main focus actions that I think this board would agree is a good idea is we intend in all our areas to gain or maintain PL 8499 active status. That allows the state to receive basically federal funding and action to repair damage in a presidentially declared disaster. We have, in general, completed system-wide improvement frameworks, or SWIFTs, or LOI SWIFT processes for all of our areas except 1 that are maintenance areas. So 8 of the 9 currently are active status under LOI SWIFT process. The 9th area I'll briefly discuss in just a second. We are also using that mechanism, which provides a Federal Endangered Species Act nexus under Section 7, to pursue biological opinions for some of our maintenance activities. Specifically in Maintenance Area 5, we have a long-standing attempt to do rodent damage repair, which is in giant garter snake habitat. And in having that problem, we have a federal ESA interaction, and so we need to get a biological opinion. Been working on that since shortly after the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers issued its interim policy on LOI SWIFT process and included that language that said where there's a federal action, in this case a work plan under that SWIFT policy, we could pursue ESA consultation, federal ESA consultation, and we're doing that. We are also regularly addressing the great reports that do come out of the Corps of Engineers. Every 5 to 10 years they do inspections. They are very voluminous. They have lots of detail and lots of eyes on the levees. It gives us an opportunity to consolidate information from a different perspective and try and address every single item. And we'll talk briefly about that as this goes on. Next slide, please. So this is the list of eligibility status for our 9 maintenance areas. So currently maintenance area 17 in Lake County is not active status in the RIP, Rehabilitation Inspection Program, because of unacceptable inspection ratings between us and Lake County Flood Control and Water Conservation District. That SWIF is on hold. We would like to proceed with one if Lake County desires to do so. So it's one of those issues that all the maintainers in a system, a core system, must be on board to proceed, and so we're ready to do that if Lake County's ready. As you see, the other SWIF items, LOIs approved, there's some resubmittal packages and other dates, so we have an ongoing interaction with board staff and the core to keep this process moving forward. Next slide, please. So the other items on the inspection checklist, encroachments. I'll show a little bit about encroachments in a moment. Closure structures, slope stability, erosion bank caving, animal control, culverts and discharge pipes, which has been removed. There's actually no table for here. And under seepage walls and tow drains. Those are items that are rated and could potentially prevent performance of the system during a flood event. So we use the checklist, core checklist, to go through and make sure those are getting addressed. And then non-rated items are on the right. We still address those as well, but priority is given to things that really are a flood risk, a higher flood hazard. Next slide, please. So as you're aware, board members are aware, encroachments are a board jurisdictional item. So there's a table that I'm going to show here in just a second. We are turning over to the board packages for each of our systems, not just maintenance area systems, but our staff are going through and coordinating with core data from inspections, DWR data from inspections, and our own field evaluations, and identifying items that are system features that the core might call an encroachment, and we're handling those directly. But anything that requires board enforcement, we're handing that to the board, and so those will be coming very soon, actually. We also address slope stability, erosion bank caving, and some of the images on the previous inspection discussion showed some issues, and those are getting addressed by our annual maintenance activities. Culverts and discharge pipes are an important one. Utility crossing inventory data, which DWR developed, is being used and interacted with to make sure that we have highest priority pipe issues, basically holes through the levee, working properly. And we have phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 is inspections and evaluations of those, what we call drainage discharge features, which the Corps calls encroachments, but we are responsible as the maintainer for those. Encroachments, a private property owner or encroachment holder is typically responsible for dealing with those. So we're addressing each of those issues. Next slide. Other areas of concern that we address during annual maintenance and levee repair programs, basically we do regular vegetation management. It's not rated, but important for inspectability of the levee, visibility and access. We have an ongoing California levee research program that developed from back in 2007, and we are addressing high hazard vegetation or trees. So trees that are on the levee may or may not pose a hazard, so we have a process to go through and identify those that pose an unacceptable risk to levee integrity through scientific data and research, and then we either coppice the tree or we might have to remove it completely as necessary. Other issues, sod cover, rills that happen with erosion, we address on an annual basis. Settlement, usually caused by animal issues, but not always. We address those on a regular basis, and depressions and rutting as well. Usually cracking, which is a core item caused by poor levee materials. So the original levee was built out of clay E material that desiccates and cracks. So legacy issues that you can't really address with maintenance, but we have a regular ongoing program to at least address them as best we can. It would require removal and replacement of levee materials to really do it properly, which is not generally a maintenance action unless there's a failure item that you have to address. We do regular riprap, revetment, and bank protection repair, and then seepage. Can't really address seepage with a maintenance action, but as this board has seen today, there are other actions like the tutor work that is being done in former MA3, LD1, that is taking care of under seepage and through seepage. Next slide, please. So this is, as I mentioned, items that are going to come to the board. Total number of minimally acceptable and unacceptable encroachments identified by the Corps and when the report came out. And so those items will require board staff interaction to help us address because DWR doesn't have a legal authority to make somebody to remove or change those. So those are a board item that will come to this board through your staff. Next slide, please. So I'm going to switch at this point to the detailed budget item that Brian Murphy is going to present, and I'll let him take that over.
All right, thank you. Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, President Jane, members of the board. And so Mark, he went over kind of the background, why we're here, and I'll be going over some of the specifics of our budget here. So we're looking at our future 2024, right? The budget year we're concluding is at 24-25, and some of those projected expenses, which will conclude at the end of this fiscal year. So out of those 9 maintenance areas, our budget came in slightly higher than expected, and that was due to we had a wet year that triggered repeated high water events, patrolling, and some repairs. And so as you can see, the projected cost was a little over $4,028,000, and we were about a couple $100 over. So slightly over, but basically on budget. And as I mentioned, those costs are projections through the remainder of this fiscal year. So we did have individual maintenance area expenditures, and projected costs can vary amongst those 9 maintenance areas. And so we had 3 maintenance areas that had projected costs that exceeded the approved budget. And those 3 were from the result of high water in those specific areas between December of 24 and February 2025. Again, extended periods of patrolling, flood fighting, and emergency repair actions this last year. So pursuant to California Water Code Section 12878.44, there is an allowance for going slightly over budget. 20% is estimated for each year. The exception to that is in emergency response situations in which we can go over to respond to that event as needed. Next slide. So this is the total sum of the fiscal year 25-26 budget that we're looking for all 9 of our maintenance areas. And as you can see, as usual, maintenance area 9 is takes up a large portion of this. It is a highly urban area that provides challenges to maintenance because we're in there's lots of backyards, there's bike trails, there's people on the path, and so we have to, our maintenance activities have to be a little more careful in that area. Next slide. So I'm going to go through each of these maintenance area budgets. These are the detailed breakdowns of the job category, and so that we describe each job category. The first 2 columns are the 23-24 approved budget and the actual cost. And then the next 2 would be the current year approved budget and the projected cost that we just talked about. And then finally, the last column will be our proposed budget. So for maintenance area 1, this is the west levee of the Sacramento River near Colusa. And so we are proposing a fiscal year 25-26 budget of $452,529 dollars, and that is for 16.8 levee miles. And so the fiscal year 24-25 projected cost exceeded the budget in this area, mostly due to an extended period of high water patrolling. And for the current and for the proposed budget, there's a general budget increase due to increased fuel, equipment, and material costs, which in particular will affect Crown roadway work. Next slide, please. This is the budget for maintenance area 4, Sacramento River Levee in West Sacramento. And the proposed budget for fiscal year 25-26 is $164,000. and that is for 3.58 levy miles. And for the expenses for the 24-25 are projected to be below budget due to some restoration and repair costs coming in lower projected, and also there's no high water patrolling needed in this area in this past year. There is a certain line item of vegetation control that was higher due to complications resulting from a homeless encampment prior to conducting that tree work. So some of those things are out of our control. The 25-26 budget overall is decreasing to fewer restoration and repair projects in this coming year. Next slide. This is for the budget for Maintenance Area 5, Butte Creek Levees, and Little Chico Creek Channel. The proposed budget for fiscal year 25-26 is $588,198, and that is for 32.7 levy miles. In Maintenance Area 5, there is a general budget increase due to increased fuel, equipment, material costs again, and this too will affect Crown roadway work. There is additional budget needed for restoration and repair work caused by stormwater damage from this last year, and also from adjacent toe cut levee, toe cut in the levee that needs to be repaired from landowners. So as was discussed earlier, this is a direct result of that sort of activity. Next slide. This is the budget for Maintenance Area 7, the west levee of the Feather River below Oroville. And the proposed budget for fiscal year 25-26 is $212,470. And this is for 11.9 levy miles. The fiscal year 24-25 cost is projected to be higher than budgeted due to more crown work needed than expected. Also, some areas needed vegetation resprayed, and levee dragging was much higher due to restored access with the completion of a SBUFCA, or Sutter Butte Flood Control Agency project. And this too will have a general budget increase in 25-26. Next slide, please. Maintenance Area 9 is the east levee of the Sacramento River in Sacramento. The proposed budget for fiscal year 25-26 is $1,875,000, and that is for 19.5 levy miles. The fiscal year 24-25 projected cost is below budget because, again, there was no high water patrolling needed in this area, in the Sacramento area this past year. The engineering support projected costs exceeded budget due to some facility improvements that directly benefit the maintenance area. And in spite of a general budget increase in fiscal year 25-26, the overall budget is slightly lower due to the completion of a Army Corps contract that addressed some repair issues in that area. So, next slide. This is the budget for Maintenance Area 12, the Calusa Drain Levee. And the proposed budget for fiscal year 25-26 is $184,245. That is for 11.4 levy miles. And this has a general budget increase in 25-26 due to some of the reasons I spoke about before about higher costs of operation. Next slide. This is the budget for Maintenance Area 13, Cherokee Canal Levees. And the proposed budget for this fiscal year 25-26 is $372,160. And this is for 40.1 levy miles. The fiscal year 24-25 projected cost exceeded the budget due to the 2024 storm event, which prompted extended high water patrolling and flood fight from a levee overtopping in that area. As a result of that, the fiscal year 25-26 will be higher due to a general budget increase and then erosion, and then storm damage repair this coming year, resulting from those storms. Next slide, please.
So other than Lake County, Cherokee Canal maintenance area got the biggest bump. I could probably name the farmers who called you.
Well, I know Lake County for sure, yes, and we'll get to that. Maintenance area 16 is the west levee of the Feather River near Live Oak. And this proposed budget for the fiscal year 25-26 budget year is $143,580. That is for 4.1 levee miles. And this one just has a general budget increase due to higher costs of operation. And next slide, maintenance area 17. This is the, located in Clear Lake, Middle Creek at Clear Lake to be specific. The proposed budget for fiscal year 25-26 is $466,711. And that is for 3.86 levee miles. Also, there is a pumping plant in this area, which is the source of a lot of the cost increases here. In the last year, this last year, 24-25, they did have high water, so we did have patrolling there. But the pumping plant has it required a lot of repairs during the year, and so we are planning a rehabilitation for that pumping station in this current proposed budget. So that is why there will be a bump in this budget.
A bump?
Yes. Next slide, please. So this is a breakdown of all of the different types of work that we're doing in the system. A large portion of it is vegetation control, from just spraying, burning, and mowing. That's a lot of the work that is done. And so you can see over the years, the expended budget in 24-25 was, $4,028,983. And so our proposed budget will be a 10.7% increase to $4,458,893. Just as a note, on the left-hand side, you can see we've circled the maintenance areas. The north areas that are all in green have a budget increase. We have two maintenance areas that are going to be lower than last year, and that is MA4 and MA9. Next slide. So last step here is to request board action, and DWR requests that the Central Valley Flood Protection Board adopt the fiscal year 25-26 maintenance area budgets to fix the amount of the estimate as requested pursuant to California Water Code 12878, CEQA. And that concludes my presentation. Oh, back one slide, please. And so I will officially request a board action to adopt and fix the proposed budget as presented.
All right, leave this slide so that we have the wording correct when the motion comes.
Yes.
Any questions? Do any of you besides me have a maintenance area? Where I live? Yes. Thank you for not doing 121% on the Cherokee Canal. Yes, you are. No, that's Clear Creek.
I have a minor question. Just on the, I did look at the Cherokee Canal because the amount of the increase was so high, and the higher amount for patrolling sort of went without saying, but I was curious about the Crown Roadways increase, which was somewhat significant for 2 years in a row.
So, Mark List, DWR. As you may be aware, the patrolling, the last several years has been significant. Historically, patrolling hasn't, it's been about a 7 to 11-year cycle where we have the need for significant patrolling. Whether it's climate change or whether other issues, we have regular increased patrolling costs, not just in Maintenance Area 13, in most areas, because storm systems seem to sit and dump and dump and dump, and then they come back and come back. So we have triggering events in our O&M manual that require DWR to get patrolling started at certain triggering events, and so we do that. And in doing so, just the wetted conditions and the farmer and other action on the levees has degraded the crowns. And so what we have to do is continuously, not just patrol during high water, but after the event, we have to address degradation. And so I think you're gonna, that's a big piece of why those two costs are high. You see a significant patrolling increase, and that was a conscious decision on our part. The long-term average is maybe $8,000 to $10,000 if you look at a 10 to 20-year average of patrolling, but the last half a dozen years has been significantly higher. So we have to make a conscious adjustment to that. And then it, as just the crowns take a beating when it's wet, because we're not the only ones on the levee. Farmers use the levees, other folks with that have legal authority to use it are on those levees. And just mass moving across the levee degrades it.
And do I understand then that you're saying that there is also a linkage between the amount of patrolling done and the need for
certainly
work on the
just presence on a compacted gravel surface repeatedly with high water, saturated conditions, that certainly causes an impact to the crowns. So we have a regular practice of making sure the crowns are passable, inspectable, and that's what you're seeing in this budget.
Okay, I just called that one out because it was notably higher in increase, both for 24-25 and 25-26.
Fuel costs, rock costs, personnel costs have also all gone up.
Yes.
Significantly. And so that's part of the whole overall 10.7%, I think is the number that Brian showed, adjustment accounts for that in general, but in some of the maintenance areas, especially the ones that we have repeated high water patrolling and repeated damage. And in Cherokee, there was also a significant long-term overtopping. So we basically have to repair the levees in that area that got damaged.
And they get allocated to Crown roadways, not repair.
Pieces of it got allocated to repair pieces. The Crown roadway is not just for those damaged locations, though. That almost the entirety of the 40 miles of Cherokee Canal levee are degraded. So we're going to have to address it.
Thank you.
In many instances, the Crown levy is the access to agricultural properties.
Right.
And other economic ventures for the southern part. So they pay. They get their tax bill and they pay.
Yeah.
And then they're going to call me.
Sorry.
I'm going to refer them to you. Okay. Any more? Member Grego, any hands up? Anyone here in the room want to make a comment? A comment, Mr. Harvey. Oh, Mr.
Good
Harvey,
afternoon.
you need to wait because I'm going to call my board member, Mr. Countryman.
Okay, I'll be
Board
back.
members always get first. Don't go too far. Mr. Countryman.
I just wanted to thank you guys for this presentation, detailed presentation of the costs involved in maintaining the system out there. And it's a big job, and we appreciate the job you're doing.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, these presentations are, they're always deep. Mr. Harvey.
Thank you, President Dolan and members of the board, Greg Harvey, board staff. I had a quick question for Mark, if he can remember. What was the state budget for MA3? And then what was the reason, why did LD1S take that over from the state? I don't remember if you could help.
LD1 was going to actually do a good job.
I thought we did a good job too,
Well,
but
you
that's
did,
okay.
but, yeah.
I can't speak to what the budget was. I don't recall. We'd have to go back to board minutes, previous budget. I mean, we certainly have the data if someone wants to see it. Why did they take it over? It was their choice to do so.
They wanted
And it
to
was
do
in
it.
this, and it was in the state's interest, and the board and DWR agreed, and the board acted appropriately, and we have a new district, local district, which I don't have any problem with local control taking care of these things. The state's doing these because there's an obligation. We have a legal mandate. Once a maintenance area is created, DWR must operate and maintain it, and the residents need to pay. As I said earlier, we do make every effort to reduce the costs by other programmatic information, but this is the annual process.
I think the answer is that when Mr. Montna decides that it's important to do something, we say yes. A good thing, turn it over to a local district. And surely any of the landowners there know where Mr. Montna and the rest of his staff and family work. So you can spend more time on Cherokee Canal.
Okay.
Anyone else here? That was kind of interesting. Any hands up? Okay. The action that, so the hearing is closed. The action that is requested is for this board to adopt the fiscal year 2025, 2026 maintenance area budgets to fix the amount of the estimate as presented pursuant to California Water Code 12878 et seq. Et sec. I don't know how you say that. I don't either. Who wants to make that motion?
I will make the motion as described. Do I need to repeat what you just said? No,
No,
thank
you
you.
don't. No, you don't. It's been said. You just say, I make that motion.
I make that motion.
All right. Is there a second to that?
I'll go ahead and second it.
Member Grego? Please call the roll. Close the hearing.
Member Andrews?
Aye.
Member Bosler is absent. Member Griego?
Yes.
Member Countryman?
Oops, yes.
Secretary Johnson?
Aye.
Vice President Valines is absent. President Dolan?
Yes. That action is approved by a vote of 5.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. All right. All right, we're at what is ending items to the agenda. We have written updates regarding activities of board staff. We got the executive staff and administrative division. Did this come yesterday, or did you do that before? You don't know, okay. Executive staff and administrative. Anybody want to ask a question? Any hand up? Any public comment, either in the room or there? Okay. We have the operations branch. Any questions? Any comments? Any input from operations people? Room? Hands up? Okay. Flood system improvement branch? Is that you? Well, then, I'm going to ask a question. Is there anything you want to tell us? No. Where did we go last week?
Yes, I could give a quick update on that. Thank you, President Dolan. Last Friday, Greg Harvey, board staff, branch manager for the Flood System Improvement Branch. On Friday, Jane and I went down to the TS30L groundbreaking ceremony in Stockton. And President Dolan gave some remarks along with Carla Nemeth and some folks from the Corps and SAJAFCA and other local agencies, some elected officials. So it was a great time, great kickoff to a good project down there.
Many local officials, certainly state and federal as well, but, you know, the response from the local folks, because they worked so hard on that 218 election for that to occur. And you may call it the TS what, but it's a 14-mile project. Is that right?
I think it's the 10-mile slough.
10 Mile, oh, the other one's, yeah, yeah. And I'm certainly hoping not, the media that I talked to kind of got that right, because I said, I'm not actually sure what the number is, so I'm not going to say.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the reminder.
Thank you for being my Uber. Okay. Any more questions despite my making him talk? Okay. Natural Resources Management and Planning Division. This is always a pretty hefty one. It's a good thing, but there's something that has occurred. So
All right.
I would like Christine Benskite to say what has occurred.
Thank you. Good afternoon, President Dolan, members of the board. My name is Christine Van Skyke. I am the program manager for the Flood Planning and Programs Branch, and I'm happy to share that the public draft YOLO Bypass Cash Flow Master Plan has been released for public comment. And to reiterate, this is the California Department of Water Resources and the Central Flood Protection Board did release the public draft of the master plan on April 15th, and it is available for public comment for 30 days. The purpose of the master plan is to guide continued project planning and implementation consistent with the Central Valley Flood Protection Plan and the conservation strategy, to inform the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers on their system comprehensive study, and to support the YOLO Bypass Cash Flow Partnership goals, which are focused on flood, habitat, water supply, water quality, agricultural, and recreation. This YOLO Bypass Cash Flow region stretches from Verona, including Big Notch, and Fremont Weir along the Sacramento River to Rio Vista, where it connects to the Delta. DWR and the board did prepare this draft in coordination with YBCS partnership agencies and regional tribes, and will carefully consider comments during this period. And so feedback is pretty critical for us to have information from the public and interested parties to help us inform us on effective strategies that can help with projects that are helping to support the region and multiple benefits. This master plan draft and associated appendices can be accessed through the YOLO Bypass Cash Flow Partnership website at ybcspartnership.org, and comments are due by May 15th. There's comment guidance and appendices, as mentioned, available on that website. You can receive assistance if you need it to send an email to ybcsmp@water.ca.gov, or reach out to myself, Christine Van Skyke, or my colleague, Mary Jimenez, who's the manager of the System-Wide Multi-Benefits Initiative branch at the California Department of Resources. And that is our announcement.
Thank you for that. We had a presentation of this, and we weren't sure exactly when it would be released, and I know there's been email to lots of stakeholders and all that, but public input on this for it to be successful is very important, so the more we can remind, I think is better, so thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Then that takes care of that. Board comments of activities, and then after that, we'll announce upcoming committee updates. Member Andrews?
In addition to the advisory committee meeting that I spoke of earlier,
thank you for that.
that we held earlier this week, I have also had an opportunity to participate in one of the Lower American River bank erosion tours with the Corps, which was very useful and high informational content, a lot to digest there.
Sure of that, yeah. Member Griggle?
Just an update on the horseshoe levee. Our staff has been meeting with the property owners there. And also Vice President Valines and myself have kind of laid out a strategic plan of how we proceed from here. Yuba County has assisted us in being accommodating with a room for when we plan to meet with folks that are close to the issue of the horseshoe, as well as the property owners out there. I believe the date is May 15th that we'll be meeting, and hopefully bring back some information to the board maybe a month or two after that. And that concludes my comments.
You bring back a solution.
Absolutely.
Okay. Mr. Countryman, are you still on? Do you have any reports that you want to make to us? Did he leave? He's not. Okay. Board Member Johnson, any updates you want to give to us? I know there's a delay because you're somewhere rural, like San Francisco.
I'm up on the North Coast.
Oh, wow.
They had got enough signal. I was able to listen to everything. Hopefully, I was able to participate as much as I could. I will save any updates for next time I'm there face to face.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for making the effort to do that. We actually could hear you all the time. We just miss seeing you. Okay. I don't have any. I made people do it for me. Coordinating committee next meeting is Tuesday, May 20th, and the meeting will be at the West Sacramento City Hall. Our next board meeting is Friday, May 23rd, and our location is to be determined. Just an orphan. And we have board meeting Friday, June 13th. Also, we're not exactly sure where. Advisory committee will be June 24th, is that right? Okay. And that meeting is in the board building in the basement. And it's a lot of fun for advisory committee members to come in person and have to check in through the security. Hopefully it can go faster this next time. And then board meeting on Friday, June 27th, which we believe will be CNRA somewhere. Okay, hope so. We have no closed session. And so we are going to adjourn. Meeting adjourned.